This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, newshound, a man who believes.
It is 6 o'clock. Today is Friday, the first Friday of this week. Happy New Day.
Sorry, how are the citizens of the planet that you currently abide in?
Well, let me speak on behalf of my brother and colleague.
Oh, you also live there?
No, I visit from time to time.
Okay.
It's today, first of all, you have to get the day right, it's Friday.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
In that place?
In that planetary system. Now, once you understand that it's Friday, everything else that you want to understand becomes easy. Because you know what follows Friday? It's called weekend. Weekendy. So weekend is 9. Okay.
Ndu,
Sir?
how are you?
Hi there, Jerry. How about you?
I'm fine. The body the inside the clothes.
Very good.
How is your Thursday?
Oh, my Thursday started off swimmingly, I must admit.
Swimmingly.
She must admit. And
So what does that mean?
And if you didn't admit, would it swimmingly be swimmingly?
I am fine, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Kila kitu iko sawa.
Very good.
Iko sambamba.
You know that Sambamba, at a time when I and people who share my chronology, we didn't say Sambamba.
Person bamba.
It was Bam Bam.
It was Bam Bam.
What?
Mambo Bam Bam.
Bam Bam.
Mambo ni bambam.
Yes, then it became Shwari.
Mambo ni bambam shwari.
No, well, no, you.
Then it came to Sambamba, now it's Fiti.
Yes, Fiti again.
Oh, like I said to you this morning, you said fit.
Yes, it
I
was
looked down
used
at
to be
my
fit
feet.
then
It's
it
not.
became Fiti, it's become fit again.
It was like you're saying, I'm fit.
I'm well.
See? Language is so interesting. Are you fine though, both of you gentlemen?
We are fine.
I am.
You are. You on Friday. We'll tell you when the rest of us get there.
There are 2 Fridays. So if you come into the second one, it's fine. You'll have come from the first one. Just that you didn't realize it. Okay? Ask anyone. They'll tell you today is the first Friday of the week.
Who's anyone?
No.
Anyone.
I think this man has got the idea. And should this anyone come from any specific geographical area so that we understand the anyone we must refer to?
Anyone on planet Earth.
Oh, okay, it's not broad, is it?
Eric, it's okay, don't worry.
It's the first
Be
Friday.
happy.
It's the Erikian calendar. Yeah.
Correct.
Make up things as you go along. Why not?
Surely. Welcome to the show, everybody. Today is what? Earth Day.
Yes.
Now you see why it's the first Friday?
What is the connection?
Right. So tell us about Earth Day then.
So today we celebrate the earth, trying to protect it, keep it sustainable, do what we can as inhabitants of the earth to keep it. So it's the day that we remember the significance and all that we've been given: water, plants, trees, animals, air, protect our water sources, protect our sources of fresh air, be thinking along sustainable lines to make sure that we have a place to live in for the next many, many years. So it's today we commemorate all of that.
So Earth Day is basically about awareness of pollution and to celebrate the environment and the planet. Okay.
Yes.
Sawa.
Happy Earth Day.
Sawa.
Is there anything we don't commemorate on this planet?
No. You can even have your own. Eric does it all the time. You can create your own day. You don't want?
I'm already confused with the days that have been categorized as being official. To add another one, essentially is to add to confusion I don't really want to get into.
You're not boarding.
And the theme for this year is Restore Our Earth.
It's an agenda that has been pushed very vigorously by environmentalists. And that debate is raging right now. Yes.
Whether Earth needs restoration.
Well, all these countries who have contributed to damaging our natural resources through the excessive production and polluting the air and emitting greenhouse gases, etc., they are the ones who are now pushing. I think it's dawned on them that harm is coming down to them. So they are pushing this agenda and they want people to join this and that and to do this and the other.
Plus, they'll have nothing to dominate, control, or manipulate if it's all disappeared. They realize they must get everybody to join this bandwagon. If not, they'll be left.
I think a number of them are disingenuous. It's just a way of them controlling a conversation and narrative.
For sure.
It's an agenda that they have crafted well. Yes.
They don't practice it.
They don't practice
They
it,
just
but they want
talk
the
about
rest
They're
of
the
you
ones who
to.
got us here in the first place.
And then they look for ways in which they can advance their dominance. So you talk about this and say, now the next phase is to think green.
Imagine.
You know, you're spot on, Eric. On this continent, the maintenance of an ecosystem within which wild animals and human beings existed had been perfected. Then our relatives from the West came in. They are the ones who brought in this mass killing of animals to sell trophies, to have all manner of things. We didn't have those things and we didn't need them. No. So they are the ones who've also, remember, they also went and exterminated what they had.
Yep.
And so now they are the ones who are big on this agenda of save the this and save the other.
They're
And
the ones who
save
destroyed it in the first place.
Yes.
While at the same time, so they at the same time as they're doing all those things, they're also introducing other things to the planet, like fracking.
Oh, that thing, my friend, is deadly.
And they're debating as they continue doing it.
Yep. No, actually, the whole point is that's the disingenuity that you mentioned. You practice it, and then you also introduce a lobby that seems to be opposing it, but you're still doing it.
You're doing it. And now, because of that lobby, anybody else in the world who tries to even think about it cannot start it.
But you are continuing to do it.
doing it. Anyway, so we will be talking about Earth Day today, the theme Restore Our Earth and what it means. And then we will be talking about what else is happening. So 2 more candidates for the position of Chief Justice, they will be interviewed, and then the JSC commissioners can book a place in Naomi Campbell's place in Malindi, go and chill there for the weekend, relax, because you have no more work to do until the courts decide whether you can.
So you're going to sit twiddling your thumbs.
Oh, yes. So I think they can just talk to Naomi Campbell. They have done some good work. They did a very good job yesterday with my man.
Your guy.
My guy, the Honorable Justice William
But
Oko.
he gave a good account of himself.
Of course he did. Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Done, dusted decision.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about, so this at the BBI.
These guys, Joker Supreme.
At the county assemblies, were debating different things at different
Debating
times.
and passing different things at different times. You here thinking that one document is going ahead
but
and
why
being
don't we
passed.
actually give this thing a comprehensive, thorough look? Debated. There are some counties who did not even debate it.
That's the, they did not
Okay.
They didn't even open the thing.
Yes. So, but this is a good debate, though.
Yeah, we'll have that conversation. Hey.
Eric, but also of interest, remember the lady who was in charge of communication director at NLC? Well, somebody else at NLC has also died.
Yes.
This is, well, we'll look at that when you're looking at the newspaper headlines. Mutahi Kagwe goes for Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson. Anyway, what's happening with COVID?
So it could be that you who got the first AstraZeneca shot might have a cocktail of shots because it's not guaranteed that your second shot will be AstraZeneca because, sorry, we just don't have it, okay? And we're not sure if we'll be able to get it. So the
Now,
Ministry
people
of
like
Health-
me, you know me, I don't do cold things.
You don't do cold things.
Yeah, I have sinuses. So I don't take cold drinks. I don't take ice
cold
cream.
shots.
Now, this cold shot at minus 40 degrees. Yeah, I'm going to freeze over.
Okay. We'll
Anyway,
help-
continue.
We'll help you in a minute.
You have a choice: Johnson and the brother, Johnson, or
Or Pfizer.
Pfizer and the brother.
The way things are looking, there will be no choice. It's either the
Or-
Johnson has come
Mhm.
and there's no Pfizer, or Pfizer has come and there's no
There's no
Johnson,
Johnson and
or
it's
none has come and there's no none.
And you just pray.
Yeah.
That's the
Anyway.
way things are looking, folks. It's not looking very interesting right now. But it would seem as though the Ministry of Health has no choice but to get either Johnson and Johnson or the Pfizer vaccine, because AstraZeneca, with all the drama that's going on in India right now and their inability to produce for more than has been grabbed up or has been mopped up already, it looks as though it's not going to come in the numbers that we were expecting. All right. So let's first of all look at the numbers yesterday. Double the numbers that we had seen in the last couple of days. In Kenya, 965 new cases, 21 new deaths, taking the total number now of COVID-19 cases to 488, I beg your pardon. 2,540 deaths is what we're looking now at in totality. If we look around the world...
How many deaths yesterday? in Kenya?
21.
21.
Yes, 21 deaths.
So still that range of
recorded
18,
yesterday.
21, 8.
Yeah, but if you look at those numbers, 3 deaths actually occurred yesterday from that number. So 18 were then a compilation of those that had happened over a month and then collated at the National Centre.
I still don't get that. Anyway, continue.
What didn't you get, Eric?
Why it's taking so long to record for these deaths to actually be registered? There's a breakdown somewhere.
There is a breakdown.
A death has been recorded. That's a fact. Now, the cause of death is where the bit of a debate and delay comes in, such that it's going to be filtered and sorted, so that by the time the National Emergency Response Committee gets to know that this particular death
It's a COVID.
occurred because of COVID. Anyway, you continue. You just leave me alone.
Okay. So the world now has 144,431,869 COVID-19 cases. And of those, we are looking at a global death now of 3,071,625. That's the global death count.
Still below the 1%, 2%.
Yes. Still.
Okay.
Then if you look at the numbers and what happens in the United States, for example, 32 million, and a sixth of those have resulted in death, 583,330 deaths in the US. If we look at those numbers now, because they were going into the point where they said, we're getting into spring is coming, and with spring comes hay fever and, flu season coming to a head. 65,057 new cases yesterday, 876 new deaths in the US. So we're looking about that average, 55 to 65,000 on a daily basis. Not as high as it was at some point, but still quite significant in terms of cases. India, again, now we're looking at this surge in some of the states, and we're also still looking at crazy things happening in Brazil. So those numbers still continue to get up there. How is Europe dealing with the second wave of the pandemic? Third lockdown in France, closure of schools. So children are back home. That's what's happening now. People are not allowed. They're being rolled out around the country. Schools are closed now, remote learning. And this week that we're going into from next week would have been when they're going to see if they can open up now a little bit and let children back in school, if that's going to happen or not. Folks cannot go beyond 6 miles of their home. They can only travel, or they can only exercise within 6 miles. That's about 10 kilometers of their home. They cannot travel to other parts of the country unless they have a valid reason. They'll have to fill out a form to explain why they are leaving their homes.
And the curfew is what time?
7 to 6.
PM
7
and
p.m. to 6 a.m.
That's
That's the curfew that's currently in place in France.
That curfew is long.
It is
7
to 6.
p.m.
Be in your houses.
Here we are, 8.
to 4. These guys, 7 to 6, and there's still a lot that you still can do, even between the hours of 6 a.m. and 7 p.m.
Yep. Germany has had extended its own until the 18th of April. But then also we have a state structure in Germany. So each state then being autonomous quasi-autonomous, then now would decide what they would do for themselves. So obviously the 18th passed 3 days ago, but they've decided to extend this a little bit. Italy also, until the 30th of April, they've characterized certain areas in the country as red or orange zones, and those are the ones with the highest risk. And all schools and university have been closed at least until the 30th. They can only move about for essential reasons. Shops and restaurants are open only for takeaway and delivery services. Interestingly enough, in the orange zone,
Shops, not nutty restaurants. Shops
essential
open
shops
only.
like your little quick thingy, you go quick groceries kind of thing, right? Small supermarkets, takeaway things like that. And that's in the red zone. In the orange zones, shops, hairdressers, and schools can remain open with partial distance learning for older pupils. So the younger children are not even in school at all. So in the orange zone, some schools can be open only for older pupils. And so there's a curfew between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. around Italy. And there's non-essential travel between regions is banned completely, and masks are compulsory in all public spaces, indoors and outdoors.
Are the Italians and the French and the Germans asking that question? According to this virus,
No, they're
It's
just doing
nocturnal.
what they've been told.
I'm sure there's someone somewhere who's asking.
I'm sure they are, but they're not
Remember
gonna
the
Ask,
underlying...
ask whether the virus is nocturnal in French.
Eric, remember the
C'est le
underlying
virus
debate with all
nocturnal?
these things is the state's, the government, the state support to their citizens. So you are being quarantined, you're being told to stay at home, but there's something the government is doing for you to ease the discomfort
Yep.
of staying at home.
Oh, for sure.
You see, therein lies the
difference.
fantastic difference. Here, stay at home, you can't work, but
your fingers.
and also fend for yourself. Now,
And pay the government.
and pay the government taxes. Yes. Now, it really gets tricky, doesn't it?
It does.
It does. Let's take a break at this point. We'll look at more on the coronavirus later. 17 minutes after 6, Kenya's biggest conversation is live streaming on SpiceFM KE, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever. Let's see who's online. We'll be saying hello to you shortly after we take a look at the weather. Good morning.
24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM. "24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
We've been all through it, you know. We go to school, study hard, get the much-deserved grades, and celebrate our graduation. Then reality hits us. We get to the job market and we simply don't know where to start off. Thankfully, by visiting jobs.standardmedia.co.ke, your next career breakthrough could be a click away. Get the best in career advice, employment opportunities, internships, part-time jobs, CV writing, and interview coaching. Give your career the much-needed lift on jobs.standardmedia.co.ke.
The realest and craziest couple are now on your screens. Terrence and Chebi are bringing you top celebrities and trendsetters on Thursday Night Live. It's double the fun and double the laughter every Thursday at 10 p.m. on KTN Home.
As the Kenyans are roared into the home straight here. 4 Kenyan queens have lit up this balmy Bahamian night.
It's where the rivalry is unmatched, where the soul meets the track, where the great are distinguished from the good. An arena where the records are broken.
A new world record. It's not just been beaten, it's been obliterated.
A stage where the legends are born. For Team Kenya, the Olympics is more than just a sport. It is
In
art.
Nairobi this morning at 17 degrees. Good highs of 24 today. High chance of rain early on this morning. It's raining in Nyeri at 15. Highs of 23 and lows of 16. Also 50% chance of rain. Cloudy conditions in Nakuru at 15. Highs of 26. 25 will be the high in Eldoret. It's mostly cloudy at 13. Mostly cloudy conditions at 19 in Kisumu. Highs of 27 and coming back down to lows of 19. It's mostly cloudy in Kakamega at 18. Highs of 26. We're looking at highs of 32 in Mombasa today, where it's raining in some parts at 26. Showers are also coming down in Malindi at 27. Highs of 31 and lows of 26. It's raining in Kampala at 18. Highs of 23 today. Highs will be recorded at 30 in Dar es Salaam. It's mostly clear at 24. 10 degrees and clear conditions in Johannesburg. We'll see highs of 21 coming back down to lows of 10. It's mostly cloudy at 27 in Lagos. It's going to be very warm today, going to highs of 34, 35, down to lows of 26. 24 will be the low recorded in Kinshasa. Clear skies at 25 this morning. We'll see highs of 33. It's raining in Beijing for a change. Cool things down considerably at 13 degrees. It'll go to highs of 17 and lows of 7 today. Paris is clear at 7, highs of 17 and lows of 5. The low will be recorded at 2 in London. It's currently at 3. It'll rise to a high of 13 with cloudy conditions throughout today. Wednesday night, it's still cloudy in New York at 5 degrees. Coming into Thursday, likely to see highs of 19 and lows of 3.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings
22
done right.
minutes after
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Well, let's start with Otieno Odero Jr., who says, good morning, guys. Kino is well represented. Eric, tag me along, he says, when you go for this warmer vaccine. Can you imagine? Can you see people that you are now leading astray?
Man,
He says,
no, not astray, bueno. We care for our
tag
lives.
me along when you have decided on the right jab with the right temperature. I am also allergic to cold stuff. You guys only like the warm things, it would
Yes,
appear.
yes.
Okay. Okay, so George Odworolek is tuned in from Kasarani this morning. Mohammed Hassan, good morning. My good people tuned in Kama Kawaida, Karibu Sana. From Kampala, Uganda is Muhebwa A. Vidal. Good morning, Spice FM. Good morning to you, brother. Good morning to the panel. Ajwang George says, tuned in from Mombasa. Kisumu Kibos is tuned in, and that's according to Jeffrey Mochama. Dorcas Kimodo says, Naomi Campbell peke yake. No way, Eric. Naomi Campbell and Dorcas Kimodo.
Allah,
Abego.
Allah, Allah.
Okay, say it one more time for good measure. Robert Bogo is tuned in from Mombasa. Jose Minor tuned in from Malindi. Good morning to you. Morning, Watu Wangu. It's my birthday. Well, happy birthday, Cyprian Mwaura. And you're tuned in from Nakuru County. And CT, we finally know Nakuru County is County 032. Remember that.
Yeah.
Okay? Zero County.
Zero
32
County.
Nakuru.
Yes.
Okay. Patrick Laturi tuned in from Salt Lake City in Utah. Well, good morning to you, sir. Hi, good morning. Watching from your Kissy home, and that's Boslin Motorics. Okay. Washira Wilfred. Good morning, Ndu, Eric, and CT. In the room again, you all sound and look great. Well, Asante Sana. Another great moment that the Lord has made. This is true. Gishugo Tuko Bam Bam.
Besa.
CT. Got it. Sauti iko low. Please ongeza kiasi. Ongeza kiasi.
Okay.
John and Juma,
John, Juma and Amlioto.
do something.
Sisi tunaongea kwa sauti yetu ya kawaida.
Nyinyi sasa. Super Maura is tuned in. Mambo
Ongeza
watu wangu.
volume ya masikio.
Mambo watu wangu. Hope you're all fine. Tuning in and listening from Nakuru County. And Vincent also said, good morning, captains, a.k.a. Watu wa Miwani. I'm already in your ship, ready for a steady move to the hour of 10. Karibu Sana. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning and happy Friday. City, today's proverb.
Right. Other people's wisdom prevents a leader from being called a fool.
Other people's wisdom
Yes.
prevents a leader
From
from
being,
being called a fool. I think the operative word for me here, bearing in mind yesterday's conversation with Okio Mtata, is people.
Mm-hmm.
If it's monkeys,
He repeated it 3 times.
yes,
Mm-hmm. It wasn't lost.
Other people's wisdom prevents a leader from being called a fool.
But think of the converse.
Monkeys,
Other people's lack of wisdom will guarantee that a leader will be called.
a fool.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So let's look at the headlines.
Let's. Okay. So we're going to discuss it, obviously, but it's a front and center on the standard. New BBI bombshell. Different versions. Fresh landmines threaten the BBI process with new revelations that 13 county assemblies approved the wrong bill. And then there were discrepancies between the Senate and the National Assembly bills. Now the promoters are reading sabotage and want the DCI to investigate. And there's a quote there from the BBI Task Force Joint Secretary, Paul Mwangi. The DCI should jump in and unravel what happened between IEBC, assembly debates, and communication to Parliament. Someone was involved in criminality and they should be outed. This story is carried on page 5 and now giving details into what happened. There was a back and forth, and I think there still continues to be one. The BBI bill passed by 13 out of the 47 county assemblies had anomalies. There are also claims that the versions of the bill at the National Assembly and Senate have discrepancies as well. This emerged as MPs engaged in a push and pull on whether to amend or not the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020. The BBI process is also facing court cases, allegations of doctored documents and bills, underhand dealings and opposition from across the political divide. These revelations put doubt to the process birthed in 2018 after the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga. The Joint Parliamentary Justice and Legal Affairs Committee on Tuesday deliberated on 6 typos, how to execute them, whether in the bill or in the vellum sent to the President for assent, and the constitutionality of the schedule. With an illegal schedule exempting the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission from conducting elections in the new constituencies in the next elections, the Commission will be bound by the same. Experts say it could be illegal once it had been subjected to a vote. This is a big concern among the committee members, and this was, according to the legislator, aware of the deliberations at the Windsor Hotel. That we had to put in there.
So
Okay.
only 13 counties received the correct bill.
Yes.
Only 13. And those 13 are Nyandarua, Nyeri, Murang'a, Embu, Nakuru, Tharaka Nithi, Meru, Mandera, Turkana, Laikipia, Siaya. Elgeyo Marakwet County Assembly, assumed to have been in the list, submitted different bills to the Senate and the National Assembly. So this particular, the correct bill makes reference to Article 89(7) of the Constitution, which provides for the delimitation of the constituencies, stating that it should be after consultations and that it should respect the population quota. Others received a different bill that has different provisions. The BBI wants IEBC to create 70 constituencies following the provisions of the article. However, the 34 assemblies submitted to Parliament a bill that made reference to Article 87(7), which does not exist. The particular article we're talking about is 89(7). Well, the bill that went to the National Assembly had the correct reference to Article 89(7). It emerged corrections were done. The one tabled at the Senate had the reference to the non-existent article. Sasa, hii ni mchezo gani? Hey. Anyway,
Well.
Tower of Babel.
You know, this, like many stories that are similar, you wait for it to unfold. Because the drama involved in such things can be so fascinating that it makes all these beyond the blue sort of like movies seem real. Okay? Because look at the questions that arise. So you're telling us that there were 2 versions. All right. How do we know there were only 2?
There could be 4.
We don't even know.
I don't even know.
And how do we know that the ones that were sent to these counties, that the 13 counties, how do we know they were actually the correct one?
But I am not surprised at all, CT. The photo that you're seeing there on the standard, okay, where ODM party leader Raila Odinga standing alongside President Uhuru Kenyatta, where they signed and launched this bill. This bill, some items were being seen on this bill for the first time by people in that room. They're wondering,
What is this?
huh? Ati, what are you saying? Some things were not there in the initial bill that was, in the initial report that was handed over to the
Yes.
president. What was being launched at Bomas of Kenya, what is being seen here, they were different. So I am not surprised at all that the same shenanigans continue to play out. That whole thing of, can we have a conversation about this document, is coming to bite them.
That question was asked, and that matter was never concluded. There was the hee-hawing, and there was the this and the other. But then also consider this perspective. Huh? When a document seems to have so many lives, okay, then you can be certain it's a living document.
Subject to change and influence.
It's living.
It's alive.
It's mutating. So what we're discussing here with reference to the BBI is a variant.
It's a variant.
Variant. Yeah.
So there's a Senate variant and a National Assembly variant.
And then there is what you call the county variant. Yes.
And there's the original one from
There's
Wuhan.
the
And that's the one that Paul Mwangi is talking about. 29 minutes to 7. Let's take a look at how the roads look like this lovely first Friday of the week morning. And then we will continue with looking at the headlines. Good morning. And as we do that, let's remind you about this portal by Standard Group and Fanesi and other partners. GenerationNextChallenge.com. Register your children between the ages of from kindergarten level to 11th grade. Register your child during this time when they're at home. Let them enjoy using an online portal that gives them challenges on math, computational skills. And when they do that, they earn some badges. Those badges allow them to, give them some access to some more difficult challenges and more challenging challenges. And access to some global challenges as well. Good morning. It's 28 to 7.
SpiceFM, Malindi.
Okay, this
Traffic.
Thursday morning, things flowing smoothly along Thika Road. It's raining, however, in some parts of the city, so you might want to be careful. The temptation is to go as quickly as you can, especially when there's no traffic, but the roads are slippery and wet, so you want to slow down just a little bit so we can avoid accidents. Okay, guys? Coming off of Mombasa Road, the situation is not so bad as at the moment. Construction continues to increase. Right around the SGR, of course, we see that construction coming up. So it slows down things considerably and the roads just get a bit narrower. So it looks like it's going to be a fun day for traffic, especially on Mombasa Road. Not to forget, the bypasses have been giving some excellent outings for people. Use that, all right? And now we're seeing that it's raining also quite heavily on Mombasa Road, so we need to watch out for this one, shall we? Okay, let's take a look in a short while and see what it looks like. Coming off of Thika Road at the moment is not so bad, and the bypass is also providing some good reprieve for folks, so let's use those now. SpiceFM KE, that's how you can get to us on Twitter. Text on 40127. Let's see how we'll keep things moving past 7 o'clock.
Spice up your life.
All right, more headlines in the papers this morning. So tell us about the death of that other person at the NLC
You know,
city.
it's saddening. It's the gentleman. This is the headline on the Daily Nation. If I die, NLC man, he foresaw his death, they say. Okay, and he said, give me a good burial. Antipas Nyanjwa, that's his name. The National Land Commission Deputy Director of Investigations, who died on Monday, had reportedly told friends and colleagues that he feared for his life. The forensic handwriting and document expert was having lunch at, I think this word is Soiree Gardens, but it isn't Soiree, but Soiree. Yes, Garden Restaurant on Gong Road when he developed breathing difficulties and started convulsing. He had just resumed work after recovering from coronavirus. Yes, but also of interest, this man shot to fame when he was very, very instrumental in something that landed two individuals who were instrumental and part of the body of individuals who took part in the massacres that we saw in Rwanda in 1995. Okay? Now, he is the one, because of his expertise, and it's this expertise that got him promoted to the position that he was in. Remember, this gentleman was a police officer. Just understand that to begin with, okay?
It was a CID.
He was CID, otherwise known as DCI, all right? But the problems that this gentleman had arose from the time when his assistance was asked for by NLC. He gave it, but before that, he had been helping with looking at certain documentation that pertained to the 1995 genocide in Rwanda. But his efforts at NLC were rewarded by a transfer from Ardhi House to Homa Bay. That's where they took him. He fought it and he came back. But this is strange. Somebody can say that, yes, COVID complications can bring about death, especially when they're related to breathing. But unfortunately, when there has been death of yet another person who was now director of communications at this same institution, unfortunately, it becomes a little too much to be just a coincidence.
There's a lot that's happening at the NLC. There are cases in court against former commissioners. And then this particular individual reportedly stumbles on vicious cartels at the National Land Commission. He finds himself getting transferred. He tries to fight the transfer from the headquarters to some branch. It flops. He receives a letter saying, further to your transfer to Homa Bay County, via letter dated July 20th, 2020, and your appeal dated July 28th, I write to notify you that the matter was deliberated by the Commission during its 81st sitting in March 2021. It was resolved that you report to Homa Bay County. Pursuant to this, I'm writing to ask you to report to Homa Bay with immediate effect. He tried to appeal, Bana, you guys.
Don't.
You know,
Commission said, so why is the man?
You know, the last time such a thing happened in this, well, it wasn't the last time, but the one glaring time when such a thing happened was when our former Minister for Foreign Affairs, Dr. Robert Huko, died. Suddenly, something similar happened. People who were related to, involved in one way, people who worked in his farm, people just started dying one after the other, after the other, after the other, under supposed mysterious circumstances. So even if, so you would ask, okay, people must die. That clearly, they must die at some point. But must they all have some relation with this particular individual? In this case, the question is with this organization.
Absolutely, and you're going to start connecting the dots, and then you're going to see that there was something, you know, that unfortunately somebody wanted out of the way.
Yeah, but then you see, this is what I find strange. The person's out of the way, but then you brought this thing out into the light, glaring light. That
the thing that you were trying to cover up.
It wasn't a glaring light. It was just one of those issues that are going through our court system. NLC once in a while. There were other, KEMSA was in there, but now two people die and they're senior. Then one has to sit up and say, excuse me, what exactly is happening here?
You will ask, of course. Of course.
Let's see how this one pans out. Now that you brought in KEMSA,
yes,
CT, I told you let's start that company. Today, by the way, from this point, we are going to talk to our lawyer. We register that company. You know why?
Tell me why.
Because there is business in KEMSA.
Okay, what business do we have now?
There is a curious shortage of suppliers who want to do business with KEMSA.
We don't have a problem doing business with KEMSA, do we?
Absolutely not.
No.
Fewer and fewer firms are bidding for tenders advertised by the agency, with others demanding upfront payment in cash.
Let me ask this question. On which day is it appropriate for us to pass by KEMSA so that we can be summoned to actually
According to this report,
yes,
even now, 6 a.m., they haven't opened. You can actually get a tender. People are not bidding. And you can understand why. You go, you're doing honest business with next thing, you're being summoned. And you're being told, you represent somebody. I'm only, you represent somebody. So how do you answer those questions? An analysis of the latest data on the government procurement portal shows that the list of bidders for KEMSA tenders so far published is getting shorter and shorter. There are cases where only one firm applied for a tender. Now look at that, CT. Opportunities. KEMSA also appears to be floating fewer contracts this year.
problem.
The portal shows KEMSA has dished out contracts worth 795 million shillings this year, compared to 10 billion shillings last year. I don't care, CT, whether it is 200 million shillings, eh?
No. Let's start small.
What's the way of getting it?
Small.
Just start small. We
Small,
do honest.
small.
Us guys are going to do honest business.
No, small. I mean, look, this 200 million, the figure,
Mind-boggling.
those things befuddle the mind. Let's go for.
That you're writing an
10,
invoice for
20,
200
30.
million. At the bottom there is at 2,
You
0,
know-
0, comma,
Yes.
0, 0, 0,
Comma.
comma.
Then again.
0,
0, 0, full stop.
Yeah.
Look at them. No, well
Mm.
done.
We
You know, you just start writing, you start doing the invoice, you step out first, you know,
allow
find
me-
somebody smoking, ask them, let me have a cigarette. You never smoke.
in your
smoke.
life. You're not sure.
Come back,
whether-
you add another 0, step out again.
Yes, you're not sure.
Find somebody on their phone, you grab the phone, talk to the person on the other end. Huyu atakupigia. Atakupigia.
You give somebody, and now
Disconnect.
you have an assistant.
You disconnect their call, you
Picking
go back,
somebody.
add another 0.
City's busy at the moment. Can I take a
Eish.
message? We'll get back to you.
Actually,
They never pay you. Oh.
when figures, staggering amounts like that become just normal, people talk about it and you wonder, wait. What are these people talking about? And you hear it is only. You think that's the end of that story. Remember that firm, the Italian firm that we've been talking about that was involved in the Aurora Kimwarer, okay? Business Daily Nation. They are now seeking 12 billion shillings for wrongful termination of the contract, just so that you understand what's going on in this country.
Even though they didn't build anything, that's
Build.
not your problem.
Please. What did they do exactly?
They didn't do anything.
No, what do you mean? They did something. They mobilized. They got towels. They got all these things.
That warrants 12
You
billion.
know, that question was asked. I saw that question being asked on social media. Someone wanted an explanation. How exactly do towels relate to the building of a dam? This is something that they found a bit puzzling.
Dam,
It
water,
is water.
wet, towel, wipe.
Yes.
Connect, city. What's up?
Okay. So what you're asking me to do
Ni duster.
is to apply some faith here.
Unajenga dam.
Maji.
Maji inaweza
Towel.
mwagika.
Meaning,
Unaweka towel
yes,
hapo.
all right. And
Sufficient.
then money paid, I get. Money received by the person who was waiting for it, that and I also get. And then dam, okay? But there's this small thing, no dam. So, okay, money paid for dam, no dam.
Here is
So
John
wipe
now.
the water,
John has
damn
a,
it.
John understands the towel. You win a tender. You're going to do some work. You're unable to do the work. You throw in the towel.
You know, this thing.
So you must start with having a towel.
So it's one of the prerequisites of tendering for any government job is you must have towels.
You must have a towel to
Yes.
start it.
So at every stage you throw in one. At every stage and sometimes you need to throw many towels at the same time,
I'm
just to
sure
indicate your seriousness.
If you look the way of KEMSA, you would have found some towels here or there, no?
So anyway, what's his case though? They are suing. Who are they taking to court?
Well, us of course.
The government.
We could pay 12.4 billion shillings to an Italian
It's a
company
taxpayer.
at the center of the error. CMC di Ravenna, the Italian company contracted by the government to undertake construction of the 2 water and hydroelectricity dams, did not deliver on the projects following allegations of massive corruption. Now, the firm is seeking compensation for irregular cancellation of the contract. It had filed an arbitration case at the International Chamber of Commerce.
You know, this isn't the first time that we have people suing us for wrongful termination of contracts when whatever it is that was in the contract was never received by the citizens of this country or by the country. It isn't the first time. How do you get to a point where you have such a... This was determined from the get-go. This issue of them being found out, issues being raised, this one was foreseen, okay? But what was also foreseen was that this company would sue. So the contract was such that, this is my view, okay, that when you're sued, you will be sued, this is what you do, because the contract says this.
Yeah.
That discussion of who oversees our contracts, how do we get, because the problem isn't the building of the dams, those dams were probably necessary, but how do we get into contracts that guarantee that we have
That we're going to lose.
Yes,
Anglo leasing, we paid.
we paid. This is the whole point.
Despite making noise,
We paid. No, we paid. We paid. Did we not pay?
Yeah.
You paid.
Even these ones we're going to pay.
You pay the 12 billion.
It's the order of the day.
When I get
Maybe there'll be some negotiations here or there, remove the interest, just do the. But there'll be something. It's 6:45. Time for another break, and then we come and look at more headlines. Good morning.
There are so many people peddling what is false and that it bears remarkable resemblance to what is true.
Politicians have their agenda, and their agenda is to use every opportunity to sell that agenda and to loot this nation.
I have seen major strides that are done in this country when we talk to each other as against talking at each other.
We start getting back into the tribal cocoons which were put to us by the colonial powers. You know, they gave us physical freedom but not mental freedom. We're still mentally colonized today into these cocoons of tribe.
Now, if you live in an area where it's difficult to find a dog,
He's a goat. I kid you not.
In which part of this country is it difficult to find a dog? So that you resort.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Relationships and divorce and then murder and suicide. A 16-year-old girl has ended her life over her boyfriend. A 16-year-old girl committed suicide in Kisumu County yesterday after her parents rejected her relationship with a 21-year-old boyfriend. The girl is said to have taken poison in Mwamokoro village, Boige location in South Mugirango constituency after her mother confronted her while in the company of her boyfriend, who is a border rider. Area Chief Isaac Obara said, Obara? That's the second time I've never seen that name anywhere else, but okay. Area Chief Isaac Obara said the parents of the girl had warned their school-going daughter against being in a relationship with a border rider and even reported them to his office. The mother of the girl found her with her boyfriend in a room in a house that is still under construction. She warned the young man to leave her daughter alone and ordered the girl to go home. The girl's parents were said to have filed a case in court against the border rider. The rider had been restrained from being seen in the company of the girl, according to the chief. The chief said the girl's mother was shocked on reaching home to find her daughter unconscious. She then carried her back to Tabaka Mission Hospital, where she was later pronounced dead. The body of the girl is currently being kept at Tabaka Hospital mortuary, where a post-mortem will be carried out to establish the cause of death, awaiting burial rites to be conducted on a later date.
Very, very sad story.
Very
so the
sad
matter had
story.
already been reported to the chief.
Yes.
The restraining orders had been given on to the guy. Oh my God. How old is the Buddha?
21.
Wow.
There's a lot of stuff going on here, you know.
Wow. It's sad.
Ages.
You look back and you wonder, so what could we have done?
What could you have done?
You know,
in this
as
case?
parents, what could we have done? There's a case in court that is quite interesting here. So there's a man who, for purposes of protecting the identity of the children, the Standard Group is referring to the man as KKR and his wife, whom he wants to divorce, as RC. So there's a divorce case in court, okay? The court has said some 32 electronic pieces of evidence and exhibits secretly obtained by the man to be used in a divorce case against his wife are to be expunged. So it said, according to this report, that the man had produced this CCTV and other evidence. He had installed CCTV. He had also started recording the wife, audio recording of the wife and all, but secretly, using a PI, private investigator, taking this information to court to bolster his case for divorce. Court says, first of all, this was evidence that was acquired illegally and procedurally, so it cannot be admitted here. So that thing of going to hire a PI and getting all these recordings and photos and evidence, and it's all in hiding. And then you come in here and you say, here is a recording of the person. Here is video or audio recording. Here are photographs of. Nope. All the marked evidence and exhibits in the divorce suit amount to illegally obtained evidence, and they offend the administration of justice. This is according to Justice Anthony Mrima. Something else that the judge has done. Same judge, Anthony Mrima. Together with Judge Ruben Nyakundi and Judge Wilfrida Okwani, yesterday, they ordered the Judicial Service Commission to not evaluate the candidates for the interviewees of Chief Justice and not commence interviews for Judge of the Supreme Court until some cases that have been taken to court are heard and determined. Okay? Those cases are challenging a number of things. One, and this is who is chairing this JSC interview panel. We have seen it's Commissioner Olive Mugenda. Those who have taken these cases to court are arguing that the chair of the Judicial Service Commission explicitly in law is the Chief Justice. Yeah. In the absence of the Chief Justice is the Deputy Chief Justice. So, now, the Deputy Chief Justice is present. Why is another commissioner chairing a meeting of the Judicial Service Commission? That is the matter that has been taken to court, and the judges said this raises serious constitutional and legal matters that need to be heard. And until then, you can continue interviewing the two candidates that are remaining, but do not do anything beyond that. And do not start the interviews for Judge of Supreme Court.
Do not continue with deliberations in any manner.
In any manner after that. So, but yesterday, the man for the job was there. Court of Appeal President William Ouko appeared before the Judicial Service Commission. He gave his account. He has 34 years working in the legal profession, all of them in the judiciary. Started in administration roles and then rising to judge and rising to president of the Court of Appeal.
That's a long career.
Very long career.
Distinguished.
Yep.
Remember, the other day we were talking about the tea sector in this country and the calamity that befell them on the day that they were supposed to be carrying out their auctions. It's odd. I'm saying it's odd in that something that appears or is presented as an abrogation of the law, when looked at in detail, can be actually understood simply as being a misunderstanding. And I'm going to explain why. The auction took place. They managed to continue the auction, though, again, it was reported in the dailies that they couldn't. They did. Okay. What is strange about IATA, the East Africa Tea Association, is that anyone who is in the tea sector can be a member. It's like a club. You join. You apply, you join. Whether you're a trader, whether you produce tea, you grow tea. But what is also true is that the greatest producer of tea in this country is not these countries that are owned by multinationals. It's not Williamson. It's not Brook Bond. It's not James Finlay. It's not Highlands Tea. It's actually KTDA. Now, if you look at the beef that has been presented, it had to do with the tea farmer. And yet, remember, the auction represents all farmers and all tea producers. Kenya, the Mombasa auction represents 14 African countries. And all these people pass their tea through. Every detail, whether it's the kilo that is per kilo, the cost in dollars, it is reported on a weekly basis. So whoever is buying, whoever is selling, if you have your tea in our go-downs in Mombasa, you know how much of your tea was sold and what it was sold for. And this is information that the international buyers have and locals also have. Remember, this is an auction. People think it's the second largest in the world. It is actually the largest. Every single week, $2 million worth of business is conducted there. Now, the article on the Business Daily, the gentleman who is the managing director of IATA is called Edward Mudibo. He put it very well. He said, the orders that were given to the Attorney General and the directives that then followed did not focus on IATA. The understanding was that issues to do with farmers. And then came the issue that Eric mentioned yesterday. insider trading. Now, this one gets interesting. Most firms that are multinational have a trading arm and a packing arm. KTDA has one, it's called Chai. But they also have investments in real estate and other businesses. Now, I think this is where the problem comes in. You represent farmers. How do farmers benefit from these things? Because the tea that you have isn't KTDA tea. It is, yes, KTDA tea, but tea from all the farmers, the small scale holders. How do they benefit from this? Mudibo argues that these are matters that could have been talked about, discussed, and understood. All this drama, this is me now saying, could have been avoided. But then, if you don't explain yourself adequately and don't put your points across so that it is actually understood by the powers that be, then there are those who say, if you look at Sri Lanka, you look at China, you look at India, part of the reason why their teas are so successful internationally is their governments assist them. The packing of tea, equipment, zero rated, meaning you bring it in free. In this country, you pay an arm and a leg if you want those things done. President Moi is credited with ensuring that that tea industry traded in dollars. And that is one of the reasons why it's one of the highest in foreign exchange earners. This discussion continues, but the tea industry has not done a good job of explaining itself and what they do to those so that it can be understood. It's been a club that is cloistered. They keep the things to themselves. So even if what they do is above board, people don't understand what they do. So whether it's above board or under it is also not understood.
It's also not understood.
You're not going to be able to poke fingers at something you don't
and
understand.
there's likelihood that there are very many things that are also happening under board. Okay? When you talked about, Kenya being a bandit economy and all,
Yes.
if you look at these key foreign exchange earners, tea, coffee,
Yes.
the industry of the tea industry in Kenya,
Yes.
from farm to market, the coffee industry in Kenya as well, from farm to market, you can see a trend. Over the years, our industry has been dwindling while those in the region have been gaining foot.
Yes, they've been growing.
Why? It's because our policymakers and those that should be supporting the farmers and these industries are actually in bed with some criminals in the sector.
Within that industry.
Within the industry. If you look at our tea, our coffee, for example, this time we have been very lucky. We've made, farmers are going to make 17 billion shillings because of other factors. Brazil, there's something that's happened to their crop, so they're not able to export their crop. So Kenya's coffee is being sought after. Now we are making money. But if you look at the amount of money that we have made per farmer per kilo in this country, I'm sure if you compare with how much the Rwandese are making per farmer per kilo, you'll find the Rwandese are making much more. Because Rwanda's government has supported that sector. Rwanda's government has ensured, for example, that Rwanda does not just sell coffee.
No.
They sell specialty coffee.
Yes.
And they have secured markets for their coffee, for their farmers.
So it is known as their coffee.
Yeah, they're invested in it.
Do you know India even creates the government tea houses in foreign lands so that if you want to drink Indian tea and the variety that is this, you go to that coffee house.
Yeah.
But ours, it appears that our policymakers are restrictive, and if anything, they do not support the tea industry as they should.
Yep.
But they're quite happy to just rake in the income.
They just rake in the income. And you talk to some of those players in that sector, they'll tell you the kind of vicious infighting that happens in the sector. You can clearly see that some of those vicious fighters are the ones who are influencing what the government is doing.
Yes. And it is for the benefit of the few individuals. And what seems to be clear is that the farmer doesn't benefit as much as they should.
Nope. And there's no story of how the farmer is going to benefit from this.
That one we do not hear. All we hear is court cases and more court cases up to the Supreme Court.
Issues upon issues upon issues upon issues. Yeah. Anyway, as we talk about that and as we conclude, the government will conduct a forensic audit at KTDA in an escalation of the ongoing action to reform the tea sector. That is what the CS, Peter Munya, has said. The next stage is to conduct this forensic audit, which farmers have been demanding for decades. The AG is going to appoint inspectors.
Eric, may I say something?
Yeah.
Some of the things that KTD has been involved in are not that secretive. Anyone who is in that industry and wants to find out, you will know. And you will even know what it is there. And it is not something that is as complicated. But let's wait for this forensic investigation.
Let's wait for it.
Yes.
I hope it's not just one of those dances
It
to
is
show
likely that
like
it will
there's
be
something
precisely
being
that.
done, and then in the end, nothing actually comes out
When you
of
throw in
it.
the word forensic, it sounds serious,
Quick
doesn't
shot.
It
Big
does.
time. Happy Earth Day. Good morning. It's 7 o'clock.
Spice up your life. Traffic.
So it's raining in certain parts of the city, slowing down traffic quite some. On Mombasa Road, trying to get into the city. You're going to go using the southern bypass. There's an option for you. Sticking through and then going all the way to the stadium roundabout, getting off onto Langata Road also is an option. It's slow. It's wet, so please be very careful, guys. In some parts, it is flooded. Because of the construction, there are certain, what people are calling craters now, and so that means you have to move a lot slower. Now, there's also some heavy jam being caused by the trucks that are lining up towards the Mlolongo Way Bridge, and the traffic starts as far back as Sabaki this morning. So please, guys, you're going to have some patience on this one, but traffic is quite heavy. Mombasa Road today. Thika Road, not so much. The showers are still coming down. And we're going to see that it's going to slow stuff down considerably, so please be careful. So Mombasa Road, on the other side of things, Thika Road, the bypasses are not looking too bad this morning, so use those. Also, on the highway, Thika that is, the service lanes are your friends. Use them. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Talk to us, guys. If you get stuck somewhere, let us know. Let's see how we can help, or let us know how we can help others. All right, SpiceFM KE again, and text us on 40127.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the
2.5 minutes
Situation
after
Room.
7. Good morning. Happy Earth Day. This is Earth Day, so we'll be talking about that shortly. But before we do that, CT, today's proverb, tafadhali.
Other people's wisdom prevents a leader from being called a fool.
Mm-hmm. Say that again.
Other people's wisdom prevents a leader from being called a fool.
Okay. Brilliant. So let's talk about the day today. Earth Day 2021. Earth Day is observed to create awareness about pollution and to celebrate the environment of the blue planet. The theme of the day, and this year, 2021, is Restore Our Earth. Every year, the Earth Day is observed on this day in order to create awareness about pollution and to celebrate the environment, to promote ecology and raise awareness of the growing problems of air, water, and soil pollution. The Earth Day, which was founded by Senator Gaylord Nelson, was first organized in 1970. The UN called it then International Mother Earth Day. This year, it's the 51st anniversary of Earth Day. The theme is Restore Our Earth. The theme examines natural processes, emerging green technologies, and innovative thinking that can restore the world's ecosystems. So like you were saying, City, earlier, there are very many buzzwords that come in with nowadays,
Yes.
Climate change and restoring the earth and what we can do for the ecosystem, our environment, what's happening. I think the conversation needs to percolate down to individuals and knowing your impact on the climate as an individual. Then now you can go into as a community, as an organization, as a country, as a continent.
Mm-hmm.
Do we get to that point?
If you ask me, and speaking purely as a lay person here, the thing that always strikes me as being strange is that every time I listen to talk about this environmental restoration, safety, whatever adjective you want to throw in, it brings me back to something very simple. how to be traditional. Because if I look at the traditional way in which Africans handled their affairs, we were very environmental friendly. We understood and knew exactly how to live with the beings around us, whether it was plants, whether it was animals. There was a way in which that balance was created, and it was restored very, very well. Now the balance, I think, gets disrupted when you bring in modernization, you bring in industrialization, and everything that goes with it. Now, it isn't the only thing that happens, because we must evolve and we must change. But the change ought to have taken place long before we actually did some irreparable damage. Because some of the damage that has been done to this planet in some parts of the world, I don't see how we're going to repair it.
A lot of the damage that has been done on these parts of the earth were done by a select few, truth be told. And now everybody is being asked to take on the responsibility to either, catch up on time for the mistakes that a few made, and making it seem as though they were all involved in the process. I'm always going to come from that point.
Do you hear any conversation about, well, we know what you contributed towards this harm, so if we're restoring it, you must take a bigger chunk of this restoration effort in ensuring, effort meaning money.
That conversation happens,
Yes.
and then it's just bandied around, and we're gonna do this. Yes, we'll do this.
And then the whole world is
put
brought
in
into
some
the discussion,
finance,
isn't
some
it?
funding into this. Our contribution will be this and the other. Just like you were saying. So there are those that understand what they have done, and they continue doing what they've done, fully well aware of the impact of what they're doing. And then there are those who don't know what they're doing, or they're just not doing it with the intention of polluting.
There's an aspect, though, of this that I find interesting, and that is the communication aspect, meaning this. You will find the conversations are started and encouraged and proliferated. It's like with a certain agenda, all right? Case in point, there's a story that appeared in yesterday's Business Daily. I read it and I found it interesting. Because how is it that when we talk about pollution and we talk about ensuring that we use safe energy sources, no one talks about the energy that is used by ships? They are by far the biggest guzzlers of fuel, given their size and given what they do. No one talks about it. It may be mentioned here and there, no one mentions it. Do you really think that it is accidental that it isn't mentioned? What ships do we know? The bulk of the trade that we have on this planet is through ships. Not planes, not trains, ships. So
it's maritime.
Yes.
Anyway, let's concentrate our conversation this morning on what local business can do to play their part and to be active in keeping planet Earth restored. This is the theme for this year's Earth Day, Restore Our Earth, and having a conversation about how businesses are contributing to climate change mitigation measures. Let's now bring in our guest this morning, Amadi Ebenezer. Ebenezer Amadi is a program manager for sustainable inclusive business at the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, KEPSA. Good morning, Ebenezer. Good to see you again.
Good morning, Eric, CT, and Du.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to hear all of you.
It's good to see you.
Well, Ebenezer,
We can see you.
we know what you're saying, but it's okay. Today is Earth Day. We are restoring our Earth, and it's peace all around. Now, let's talk about local business, because that's what you do. You deal with businesses at the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, a business member organization, and you have these programs on climate change mitigation at Sustainable Inclusive Business. First of all, what are the measures of the impact of climate change that an organization can have? So if you say that, as an organization, this is what we're doing, what would be the measures of this is our impact on climate change?
So thank you so much for the question. I'll take it a few steps back when you talked about the Earth Day and what the focus is on and when it began. That's in 1970, but went global in 1990. So that means that's 31 years since it went global and 51 years since the Earth Day began in 1970. So and the focus here is on three things that you mentioned. That's air, water, and land. And in any business, we operate in the environment, and the focus then will be on the profits, people, and planet. So in this case, then if we are producing items that are being taken to the market, then it means that the business should need to look at the design of the product so to ensure that it does not harm the environment. There has been a conversation on plastics. There has a conversation also on emissions of greenhouse gases. So most companies are also trying to integrate the sustainability angle into the plans. So something that they also do is report on an annual basis. They call that sustainability reporting. And you notice that companies are also beginning to bring in focal persons or experts on matters sustainability to try and look at their processes, their procurement, and even their interaction with customers. CT just mentioned the Guzzlers in terms of consumption of fuel, and also looking at greenhouse gas emissions. You'll notice that in Africa contributes 4% to the global emissions. China is at 23%. The US is at 19%. So all this, the three things that I've talked about, that is land, air, and water, we need to focus on that. But the essence of the Earth Day is to try and increase awareness so that businesses and also the public can become active in taking care of the environment.
Let me ask something, if I may, Vanessa. Awareness is all good and well. Tell me about the focus you have on the benefits, because if people don't understand the benefits of what is being propagated, they will certainly not chime with it.
Okay. The quick thing that we can look at, this morning it's raining, right? And we can quickly look at the impact of climate change on weather patterns. Just last year, 2 years ago, we saw that there was a change between the long rains and the short rains, where the weatherman was describing it and saying that during the short rains, we had more wet days, meaning that we had longer periods of time when it was raining, and during the long, short rains, there were shorter wet days. So it means it affects us. Going back to the sectors, I take an example of the agriculture sector. You find that farmers planted and were ready, and because they knew the rains were coming, and then midway the rain kind of stopped. So it disrupted their plans and bringing losses. So that is the point, that the common man will understand the impact of global warming to their personal life or to their business. So we are bringing it home, closer to our doorstep, rather than talking about the using big words in terms of what is happening elsewhere. So we are bringing it home to Kenya. And the other thing is also on emissions of gases, and sometimes it affects our respiratory system. So that's also one of the negative impacts that us not taking care of the environment. It affects our lives directly. So as businesses, then the major thing here is to look at their contribution in terms of taking care of the environment. One example that I can quickly share with you is on manufacturers doing what we call the energy audits. So mostly what it entails is looking at their consumption of usage of electricity and also the efficiency of their machines. So if the efficiency of the machines is poor, it means that they're consuming more but producing less. So those are the aspects that businesses are beginning to look at within their processes of manufacturing and production of their goods. And then begin to integrate new technology and also what we call a green power.
Also, I mean, just looking at the conversation and then looking at the importance that everybody's placing on this now, then you start to realize that notwithstanding the whole conversation that is taking place around who has contributed what, then there's a responsibility that individuals and then individual companies and organizations then need to play in all of this. Because if you don't, then you're not going to have much more within the lines within which to operate. That if we're looking at the environment and then protecting it so that you can have something to fall back on tomorrow, then becomes paramount in your operations. But I think also it needs to go beyond just saying we need to do something to protect the environment and protect the earth, but from an understanding on an individual basis what it means if you actually do not do this. And I always go back to this, Amadi, that beyond just saying that we need to understand about land, air, water use, and we need to understand about protecting the environment. Do we have, on an individual basis, because it's individuals who make up companies who then make these decisions, do we have that inherent understanding of why we ought to do this? And beyond these initiatives that are being put in place, public awareness, how heavy then do we need to go on this?
Yeah, thank you so much, Ndu, for the question. Now, yes, of course, as you mentioned, the organizations are formed by individuals, and it's individuals that run these companies. So at CAPSA, we are running an initiative that is called the Climate Business Information Network, where we are trying to increase the understanding of climate change issues. Of course, the experts also in different industries, some of them also understand this concept, but they have not been implementing it. So that, in a sense, brings an awakening for them to integrate these aspects into their processes of business. Understanding and awareness is key. I mean, beginning from where CT asked the question, is awareness really enough? I'll compare it to a company beginning to develop its strategic plan and then ensuring that their employees are aware of the vision that they have. So a leader, in a sense, the definition is someone who is able to influence and influence others to follow them. So if you lack a sense of the ability to pass the knowledge or show them the vision, that means that your leadership skills are a bit wanting. You might be a good expert in the area that you studied or expert in your area and field, but leadership in itself is a different angle. So that's what we try to champion at CAPSA. And I can tell you for a fact, the leaders that we have here are keen to be able to contribute to matters on sustainability, on environment. Because when you talk about sustainability, there is the angle of the company meeting its obligation. That's in the short term and in the long run. But we also look at the angle of your environment. And that's why companies are beginning to invest in corporate social responsibility. But now we are encouraging them not just to look at it as a one-time thing to help the community around. So we are changing it a little bit and looking at it as an investment. Because if the environment becomes better, then you're able to get your produce, your goods, if you're in the agriculture sector, or if you're in the tourism sector. Of course, all these aspects then contribute to the profitability of your business.
You know, as you talk about all these things that organizations and companies can do, sometimes you talk to people about climate change and they tell you these are buzzwords, some very nice buzzwords, and there's a lot of money. There's billions of money in this industry called environment and climate change. People are making money just, talking and saying great things and using heavy words. But down on the ground, how are organizations, as they work on the CSR, on what they're sponsoring environment cleaning days and planting trees, is there a focus on how they can reduce their own contribution to climate change by not planting trees, but by looking at their own processes, their business processes, and saying, we pollute this much, we deal with our waste this way, this is what we do in terms of recycling. Yes, this is what you were telling us the other day about plastics, but beyond that, we see companies that pollute the rivers, companies that pollute the air. Is there a program that actually looks at, last year your emissions were this high, this year your emissions need to reduce?
Yes. Thank you so much, Eric. So you just reminded me that, in every country we always follow the plans that the government has set out. And in this case, you'll find that most African countries submitted their nationally determined contribution and also reporting on the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. Just last year, Kenya revised its targets, and we are looking at reducing the carbon emissions by 33%. So it's through that plan then we plug in as a private sector and support the businesses to track their impact on the environment. So we are called this is looking at the contribution of the private sector in either reduction of greenhouse gas emissions and also looking at the variable indicators that the government is supposed to report to. That is through the United Nations Framework Convention for climate change. So that's an element where we support businesses to be able to track, and this we do on an annual basis. So companies are being encouraged also to track, because we say what you cannot track, then you cannot improve. So that then encourages them to look at their processes. And of course, in different angles, then we also encourage this through the awards that we have on an annual basis by looking at different indicators on how businesses are improving their processes. And that is why, as I mentioned before, you'll see an increase in companies trying to bring in experts on matters of sustainability so that they're able to look at their procurement. So they call it green taking procurement to be green, just the same way where CLEPSA we greened our National Business Agenda 3. So looking at the aspects of sustainability in every pillar, so the three pillars that we have, the economic pillar, the social pillar, and the political pillar.
So with all the geopolitics around this, I mean, just from, whether it's buzzwords or we're talking about billions of dollars around the conversation, if you look at individual countries now, specifically at Kenya, how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how necessary would you say it would be to pay attention to what's happening with the planet and in terms of protecting it in the future, putting all the politics aside and saying what is then necessary to do for business and for country? How far up the rung is Kenya? And whether we're looking at small and big business, how seriously must we take this?
So on a scale to 10, I'll give it an 11. So that's more than 100%. So basically what I'm trying to say is that it's of essence for us to focus on this topic, because then we realize that if you look at the numbers in terms of the predictions that are being talked about, is that climate change will have a cost of 7.9 trillion to the global economy by 2050. And this is a huge amount if you convert it and look at it from monetary value. So that tells us that this is a very important aspect for us to plug in, and not just, as Eric is saying, use big words and try to talk about this once in a year during the Earth Day and leave it at that and wait for the conversation to begin the next year. The quick question that I will ask is, when did you know that Earth Day existed? Yet this was started back in 1970. So most people don't even know that there is this drive to try and encourage businesses, encourage the community to plug in. But of course, now through yourselves, media also plays a critical role in ensuring that the public is made aware and they are educated on this matter. So yes, that's a very important aspect for businesses to plug in, and also the community. The community is very keen in contributing or plugging in because they kind of feel the pinch directly. If I give you an example of the Mau area, it's something that affected the people in that area directly. So if a person who was living in that area basically knows what the water tower contributed to them as farmers, then they will be to contribute in trying to turn around the negative effects or impact that we have caused by human activities. That's by cutting down the trees and not thinking about the future, not thinking about tomorrow. But also
replenishing the same.
Our government also plays a role in trying to give us a sense of direction, and through the programs that we have.
That's very true. Amadi Ebenezer, thank you very much for joining us today, and happy Earth Day to you. Amadi is the Program Manager, Sustainable Inclusive Business at the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. Have a lovely day as you restore our Earth, Amadi.
You too, and I liked what how CT began the program with his proverb. As I was thinking about it, I think the explanation there is that if a leader has good advisors and doesn't know much, then he will look good.
That's very good.
He or she.
That's very true. That's very true. As this is being celebrated around the country, in America, U.S. President Joe Biden will be hosting the Global Climate Summit today and tomorrow. Leaders of 40 nations, including those demonstrating strong climate leadership, vulnerable to global warming or following groundbreaking approaches to a net zero economy, and the leaders of the big energy consuming nations like India, China, Russia, are likely to attend this particular meeting. 27 minutes after 7, time for a quick break. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7, around the world, non-stop. This is SpiceFM.
You better be ready. Every Friday at 7:30 p.m. only on KTN Home. It's the Shining Stars TV show moment. Get ready to be inspired. Get ready to be part of an exciting journey of discovery and learning with talented children. Get ready to be entertained by super amazing young talent. Because hii ni yetu, from our own talented stars, hosted by #1 TV host, Sleepy David. Shining Stars TV show, every Friday, 7:30 p.m. only on KTN Home. Be part of the journey. It's time to answer questions that are worthwhile. The Big Quiz Show is here. Register to play from the comfort of your home by SMSing the word JOIN to 23774. Then watch the live show on KTN every Sunday from 8 p.m. where you could have a chance to win a Mili. The fastest and most accurate answers are guaranteed to win. The Big Quiz Show, Sundays at 8 p.m. only on KTN.
The weather
Mostly
with
cloudy conditions
SpiceFM.
in most parts of Nairobi. The rain is also coming down in some parts at 17 degrees. We'll see highs of 24 today. 23 will be the high in Nyeri. It's raining at 15, coming down to lows of 16 today. 26 will be the high recorded in Nakuru at 15 degrees this morning. It is cloudy, mostly cloudy in Eldoret as well at 13, highs of 25 and lows of 15. Posted cloudy conditions in Kisumu this morning at 19 degrees, going to highs of 27. 26 will be the high in Kakamega. It's mostly cloudy at 18. Light rain in Mombasa at 26. That'll be the low for today. Highs of 32. We'll see highs of 31 in Malindi. It's also raining at 27. It's raining in Kampala still at 18. Highs of 23. And mostly clear conditions now in Dar es Salaam at 24. Highs of 30 and lows of 25. At 10 degrees, Johannesburg skies are clear. Go to highs of 21 today. Come back down to lows of 10. It's going to be a warm day in Lagos. Highs of 34 today. It's mostly cloudy at 27. Clear conditions in Kinshasa at 25. We'll see highs of 33 and lows of 24.
Chilled Spice.
All right, so what are we looking at today?
Traffic.
Still some heavy traffic on Mombasa Road this morning. All the way from beyond Sabaki. There's certain trucks who are trying to get into the way bridge area, slowing down things considerably. That's affecting traffic, and it comes down all the way to General Motors. So between Sabaki and General Motors, very slow this morning. This one you're going to have to sit through with a dollop of patience, guys. And then past that, there are some parts of the road that have flooded due to the construction and the rain overnight, and that which continues to come down. So Mombasa Road, you're going to have to take it easy regardless. This one needs some patience. Coming off of Thika Road into the city centre, not too terrible this morning. It's moving slowly in some parts, but it's moving all the same. Jogo Road, let's look at that. Coming from industrial area into the city, onto Landis Road into the CBD is a bit slow, but bearable. Jogo Road also going towards industrial area, going to hold up a little bit between Likoni, Lunga, that area, and Enterprise Road, moving slowly, coming into Mombasa Road. The bypasses will serve you well this morning, guys. Use them. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text us on 40127.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
Okay, 8:28 minutes to 8.
Spice FM,
The conversation
Nairobi.
continues right here in the Situation Room, and in the room with you is Ndu Oko, CT Muga, and Eric Latif. So CT, a lot is happening in the agriculture sector. We shall have a conversation about coffee, a wholesome conversation about coffee, maybe sometime next week, on the big gains that have been made by coffee farmers this particular year, and whether those gains are sustainable. Can the farmers make more in coming years? But let's talk about tea.
I think that wholesome discussion we will also have with the tea industry and bring in some of the key players to tell us their side of the story, and hopefully bring people from the Ministry of Agriculture to tell us their bit of the story. But what is certain is when you read about what is happening in the tea industry right now and what has brought it to the limelight was the raid that was reported in our dailies by police officers, the tea trade. Now, of course, every side will have their story. And what happened before anything else is fingers will be pointed at the police, forgetting that before all that happened, there was a chief magistrate's order. Police do not visit you unless there's a reason why they're coming to visit you. Okay? They didn't wake up in the morning and decide, okay, what shall we do today? They said, no, let's go to Mombasa and raid that. No, there was an order. And even if the discussion really revolves around Kenya Tea Development Authority, KTDA happens to be a member of IATA, East African Tea Trade Association. So if there are accusations, and some of them have to do with the insider trading, where do you think all the trading information will be nestled? It will be in the server. So if they went for the server, inconveniencing as it is, you can understand the thinking behind it. So pointing fingers there doesn't help. The question that I raised when I was talking about the article in the Business Daily was, when you look at the tea trading in this country, what we know as a public is that we produce tea, we drink tea. It is locally, yes, we export tea. It is a huge foreign exchange earner for the country. That just about sums up our knowledge about it.
Yeah.
But as for the details about the tea industry, which could have been made public by the tea industry itself, there isn't much. What we then read or consume is the quarrels and the wrangles that have bedeviled KTDA for the longest time, and with representations of farmers crying foul and saying, we are not benefiting enough from our product, yet the company that's supposed to represent us seems to be doing swimmingly well. They are investing in this and the other. They have trading posts in Dubai. They are doing this and the other. Now, all these things sound very, very strange. But then it also begs the question that people ask. When you go to a supermarket in this country and you go to the section where they sort of like stock tea, alongside the teas that are clearly produced in Kenya, you will find very many foreign teas. And sometimes you'll find there are more foreign teas on offer on those shelves than there are teas that are offered in Kenya. And you ask yourself, all right, why? If you go to other countries that actually produce tea, you will find that the government makes a very deliberate effort to protect their product and those who actually produce it. And I say deliberate, I mean they do so by ensuring that they have favorable legislation. They have a policy structure that favors them. You'll also find that they have incentives for people who may want to invest in that particular industry. You know, when you keep talking about value addition, it requires investment. And then you will find there's this environment that in which tea is produced. And many of them claim that if you look at the production costs, said the tea that is traded in Mombasa, the cost that you hear, said 60% of this has to do with production. The production costs around 60% of that amount that you hear being talked about. And they say now 30% is in energy. Now, whether this is actually true, I do not know, but this is what is said. So if you do the maths, it leaves you just 10%. So you're saying that this 10% is what contributes to any profit that they may make. Now, if these figures were true, then you would argue, you know, production cost, energy costs, these are things the government controls. And the government can't do something about it. But this argument goes further. Because if you look at industry as a whole, yes, there is a record of the government playing ball and trying to incentivize our industries by reducing certain costs when they apply for it. But do you ever see the trickle-down effect? Do these goods then end up costing less than they cost before? The answer is no. So even with the tea, how sure are we that if I, as a Kenyan, wanted to drink our Kenyan tea, that if all these things were looked into, and say like the VAT that is often mentioned, the 18% was reduced, would I see a reduction in the cost of tea that I'm buying in my local supermarket? If I'm to go by previous results that our industrial industry has shown us in this country, I'm likely to just pay the same, meaning they'll rake in the profits that they get from the incentivization that the government has provided, but either consumer will not benefit. But the issue that has arisen is not either consumer, but the person who is involved in the process of actually producing tea. And this is the common man. Now, KTDA will tell you, but you know something, if you look at the region, we do very well. We've structured the way we pay them, and at the end of all this payment is something called a bonus, which we give them. Agreed. However, the real money in tea, we know, is if there's a value addition to it. All right? And KTDA does have value addition. Now, there's a Kenya Tea Packers Association that has attempted to do some of this, some of these activities that could be considered to be value addition, as in packing. People hear of Ketapa, isn't it? That's it. But when you hear of the organization that is supposed to actually be involved in other trading, let me explain what I mean. Tea trading at the auction is not the only trading that happens in our tea. No. Many multinationals that are in this country trade directly.
They do direct trading.
They buy direct trade. Okay? And they have private treaties. So they bypass the auction. And they sell directly to whoever it is who wants to buy. It's their tea, they sell it. However, that is why you will find a place like London exports more. This one I always find amazing. It's the same case with Switzerland and cocoa and Ghana. Switzerland exports chocolates, but they import cocoa from Ghana. London exports tea. You'll find many European countries exporting tea. Germany even exports tea.
Yep.
They don't grow tea. But it's these teas that get there and the value addition takes place. And the question that has always been asked is, fine, why is that value addition not taking place here?
Yeah, why doesn't it take place back at home?
That's where it's going with this, because then why doesn't it take place? Because you can see very many examples of how it happens around the world.
Yes.
What stops it from going on here? And I think there are very many factors at play, but one of the ones that jumps out at me most is the reluctance by government, reluctance by regulators, reluctance by those within the industry to see beyond this first dollar that comes into the pocket. Because it would seem that it's being controlled by a very few then who are taking those initial profits and running with it and not really thinking about what more could be done. Because at the end of the day, once you think about the more that could be done, this person that you talk about, the producer then, is the one that gets a little bit more in their pocket, which is the way it should be. I mean, we can say whatever we want to say, but this person who is producing should be protected agriculturally, should also be protected economically, and you should actually be looking, the way we talk about how countries should be able to increase funds, then increase revenue. It shouldn't just only come from taxes. This is one of the things that we talk about. You have a resource that's resplendent around the world. People are running for it.
It's in demand.
It's in high demand. The world. We're not talking about just East Africa here. The world. It's in demand in the world. And what are they doing? They're taking this raw product that you have, they're adding value to it, and they're making variants of it. And then in most cases, they're selling it back to you, the original producer.
They do.
And you're buying it and putting it on your shelves,
Your tea.
for which your people cannot even afford to buy that end product, right? So why wouldn't you want to now play around with that and make sure that your own people are protected and you actually are able to use it as an income earner for the country?
That answer, that question, that statement that has been made by two national leaders so far, one, former Chief Justice Willie Mutunga, second, Senate Minority Leader and Senior Counsel and Legislator Jim Orengo. We're a bandit economy.
I mean,
that just responds to everything here, like we're talking about. There's all these opportunities are there. The people who run the policy side of government, the people who run the research side of government, those who are actually even running KTDA and the other big companies will tell you how Kenya is faring and has been faring in the global tea market. They'll tell you, yes, we are making X amount of money per year, but it is not the maximum amount that we could be making. The president, earlier last year, when he was ordering reforms in the tea sector, and we talked about it last week, he gave the example of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka sells about 60% of the total tea volumes that Kenya sells, but Sri Lanka makes 100 billion shillings more than Kenya makes. Why? Because Sri Lanka, 50% of their tea is value added, goes to the market as value added. Ours, more than 90% goes to the market as raw. This is something that people already know. It's not that because now we started seeing activists coming up and people campaigning for improvement in the tea sector, that's when this research started happening. No, people know about this.
It's known.
They know it. But the bandit economy side of things is where the players who are actually benefiting from the status quo
and
are also influencing this other side of government.
You know, Eric,
and they're very few, and they control this, and so all the movement, even now, these reforms that were ordered by the president last year, there's a new Tea Act, there are new regulations, there's all this talk of let's look at how we can revamp KTDA, there's a pushback from KTDA, there's push. All this back and forth just points to that one thing, bandit economy. You cannot really pinpoint and say this is the person, but you can clearly see. You shall know them
by their fruit.
Yeah.
But Eric, what I find strange, these bandit economy type individuals in this country clearly are people who purport to be business people, all right? But I marvel at the short-sightedness of it. Look, there is this opportunity to grow this thing so that there is infinitely much more money involved.
To go round.
Yeah. How is it that they cannot see that what they're doing is stifling even the very thing that they seem very centered on making a lot of money, but they're preventing themselves with their actions from making this a lot of money which already exists. We're not pioneering this. No. It's already out there and you can see it happening and we know it's happening. Surely, beyond tea, what else does Sri Lanka produce that is world known? It's tea. Now, we benefited immensely when Sri Lanka had its civil war. Because without civil war, you couldn't really do very much business. Okay? We know the vagaries of weather and how it affects the tea producer. Like even now, because of what's happening around the world, we know that the tea prices are going to go up. It's not a secret. This is one business where the things that are involved and what makes money is not complicated, neither it is secret. But there is this umbrella, this shroud of secrecy, and that seems to have been developed by this same group of people. And again, I'm saying, what utter short-sightedness. Because tea is in demand. It isn't a product that somehow people, and right now, with people staying in at home, I would venture that people are consuming more tea than they would otherwise consume before.
The short-sightedness, by the way, is no different from everything else that happens with corruption in the country. If you look at all the cases of corruption where somebody is given a job to build a school, but they don't build a school, they eat all the money. Somebody has the responsibility of ensuring that there is development of healthcare system, but they don't develop it.
They borrow beds from school.
Yes. This is a person who is looking at their own end.
Here
How
and now.
much do I have here and now? If I fall sick, I'll fly out. They forget that everybody else then now will be depending on you. Everybody else falls sick, they come to you asking for handouts for you to support them to go to hospital. How much are you spending on that? Whereas you could actually have developed that healthcare facility.
And then there's a security element. If the people around you are well-to-do, meaning they can make ends meet, you're secure.
Absolutely. Look, development begets development.
Yes.
It is the only way, it is the only thing that can be birthed from this. You develop something, the only outcome, the only fruit is more development. It is just, it's been tried, tested, it's been proven. You can't go backwards. By developing one area, you can't go backwards and then get degenerated. It doesn't happen that way. The only result of doing something better or finding better ways to do something is that it gets better as you go ahead, is that you're able to reap more, that you're able to bear more fruit from it. And if you apply it, it's actually very, very simple logic that can be applied. The problem here is that once you do that, you cede control. And I think that's where the problem lies. You cede control to more people.
Yep. You don't want more people at the table.
You don't want more people in a place whereby the little that you're making can be affected. And it's a selfish move, 100%. And that's why I'm saying, if we're really invested as a country in making sure that these resources are spread out and that you're in a position to make more, then in some areas you're going to have to cede control. Here's a resource that you have that is being looked at or looked for the world over. Do you think that the government of Ghana is being stupid when they say they are no longer going to export cocoa to Sweden,
They've given
to
it thought.
Switzerland? They've thought about it and they've seen, hold on a minute. Some of the problems that we continually have in this country is because of the lack of resources. And here we are with a raw material that is being... Switzerland is known for so many things, and one of them is the chocolate, which they don't have abounding in terms of a natural resource. They have to get it from somewhere else. But imagine, they're world renowned for their chocolate, and it's a natural resource that they do not have. The primary material they do not have. They get it from somewhere else. They too are not stupid in their thinking. So there's a model that is presented to the world that works beautifully. That you can take something and add value to it, and then you can make more for your country and step up on that global profile, that global scale. You can add more in your pocket. You can do more for your citizens. Look at when we spoke with Kericho Senator Aaron Chariot, and this is one of the things he said. These young men in this area, these small businessmen, continually looking for ways that they can survive on this resource. That's all they know.
Yep.
Since they were young, all they know is this tea. So can you imagine if that resource ended? Their lives, sustainably as they know it, then would also come to an end. Do you want that for the people of the country?
You know, KTD represents so-called small-scale farmers. I'm saying so-called deliberately. But then they have this company that buys for them. It's called a buyer. That's where this complaint of insider trading comes in. these small-scale farmers do not have a say.
Of course not.
They don't.
They don't feature anywhere.
Yes, and yet they contribute to the might of KTDA.
Without them,
this might
they would not have a leg to
wouldn't
stand
be
on.
might.
Yes.
Do you know how much tea we export in terms of kilograms through that auction every year? In excess of 500 million kg. Now, that's a lot of tea.
That's a lot of tea.
Uganda, 90% of the tea that Uganda produces goes through that auction. So the issues that have brought this debate to the fore now also jeopardizes the hold that we've had on this trade on the continent. Tanzania now wants to start their own. Uganda's talking of doing the same thing. Rwanda is talking about having their own brokerage. And I don't see anything stopping them because they know how this thing is done. But you see, what happens is when you have all these tea coming through Mombasa, you know what happens? All these countries have warehouses.
Yep.
And there's the employment factor and the business that comes in with the shipping. Okay?
Yep.
There is the additional value added to the business that this particular tea that we're talking about and the trade therein that really benefits. You know, it has not shifted very much even with COVID. No. Now, you tell me, you do something that brings about the wrath of the government on your head. Okay? So everyone else who's involved in that business who did not participate in your shenanigans now has to start paying the price for what you did. So that even you who thinks you're clever, your own business will be threatened at some point. Because once this sort of scrutiny begins, my friend, it's not going to end.
It's not going
tomorrow.
to end. It will not. You see, the same way that tea farmers across the country have risen up against mismanagement at KTDA, what they find they term as mismanagement at KTDA.
Yes.
I think it's about time also other players in the sector rise up and say, look, you know what? We stand to gain a lot more if we had reforms, if we had better organization of this entire tea value chain. And how can we participate in making this thing better? If they all rise up and say, okay, forget the big player, forget that guy who is appearing like, they are the ones who control the big brother and the cartels and they threaten our lives. If we just all come together and say, you know what, these are the reforms, these are the reforms. If they feel that the reforms being spearheaded by the Ministry of Agriculture are not the best, participate and influence so that we get the best reforms in the tea sector. This way, everybody benefits.
You know what is also of interest is that some of these discussions have actually been had. And the usual documentation that we are so good at, that took place. Suggestions and what have you took place. But you see, these can't, a sector that is this important, you can't have one discussion or two and think it's the end. It has to be something that is continuous and it's ongoing and you're lobbying. For IATA to get to where it was, remember, IATA was first stationed in Nairobi. It didn't. It's negotiations and discussions and understanding, shipping, the benefits of it being in Mombasa, what you could gain. That's what got it moved to Mombasa. It wasn't always in Mombasa. It moved to Mombasa. Now, surely, what is it that we can say about IATA that would indicate its growth? I would presume at the center of it must be how the people who contribute to that tea are benefiting. When that is the center of the discussion, then everything else becomes secondary and we do not have the drama that we're having now.
That's true. That's true. It just calls for, concerted effort and everybody working from the same side. But no, in this country, there's somebody who will always be trying to pull you down. It happens like this globally. But in Kenya, those on the wrong side are more than those on the right side. This needs to change. This needs to change immediately. Time for us to take a break at 7 minutes to 8 o'clock. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. Have you logged on to jobs.standardmedia.co.ke yet? Now, if you log on to jobs.standardmedia.co.ke, you will see many jobs that have been posted and listed on this particular portal. You can register and get jobs that suit you emailed to you as soon as they're advertised on your email, or also you can receive these on SMS. So many jobs that have been listed on jobs.standardmedia.co.ke. Some of the ones that are top right now: part-time lecturer at Kenya Red Cross Society, program management specialist, business process involvement, retail sales supervisor, driver in Makueni, accounts assistant, operations manager, program management officer, that is a project post at UN, Nairobi, valuer, surveyor, valuation advisory, a clinical officer, Iceland's project for Medicine Sans Frontières, many jobs. Jobs.standardmedia.co.ke. We'll be back shortly.
.9 Spice FM, Mombasa. .24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Kuza Broadcasting Awards 2021 is here. KTN Home has been selected as the People's Choice TV station, and we need your help to bring the award home. To vote for KTN Home as your favorite broadcaster in the People's Choice Award category, SMS the word Kuza to 15601 and follow the prompts. Voting ends on 23rd April 2021. Voting is absolutely free.
Hello.
Halo, umesikia?
Nimesikia nini?
Hujasikia habari? Hebu acha nikuambie. Kile kimetokea.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Don't wait for hearsay. Dial *550*1# to read the Standard e-paper from the convenience of your mobile phone for only 20 shillings from your telecom line, and stay up to date for a reliable source with over 100 years of experience with no additional data charges.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
All right, the conversation continues right here on Spice FM. So, talking about what's happening at KTDA, the CS for Agriculture, Peter Munya, is saying, okay, there's a lot that investigations are unearthing at KTDA. They have been at loggerheads with the ministry, with the agency moving to court to stop the government from implementing the new regulations on grounds that it was not consulted, allegations that have been dismissed by the ministry. Minister Munya says preliminary investigations show the same directors run some of the businesses that are supplying the KTDA. Some of the transporters of tea to Mombasa auction are owned by some of the directors of KTDA, either directly or indirectly. That's why transport costs have doubled. The new regulations plan to deal with all conflict of interest issues, and this is why they are fighting. We plan to use the standard gauge railway to transport tea to Mombasa at a publicly negotiated fee to help save farmers unnecessary costs. The directors of smallholder tea factories are also sitting on the board of the agent. Now, surely. Many things, many untoward things happening. Farmers at whatever village who have a local tea buying center and a local tea factory are doing what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
They grow tea, they deliver the tea buying center transports the tea to the tea factory does what it does and then brings it to the marketer here in Nairobi. Farmers, when they're called upon, they participate in elections at the tea factory. Those directors at those tea factories are the ones who elect the directors at the national level. Mm-hmm. Now, hapa kizungumuku.
Good.
Games start now being played there. Those that then come at the top are the ones who are being accused allegedly of making sure that they inflate costs such that the money that ends up going to the farmer has been depleted.
You know, for a moment there, if I didn't know that we're discussing tea, I would have thought we're discussing the government. Citizen plays his part, goes to every 5 years and elects this person.
The person who is elected goes to
Parliament and is supposed to look after your interests. But then, Kizungumkuti again takes place.
Goes and wins the tender from the government that they should be checking.
There are 3 arms of government. They suddenly realize there are 2 arms of government. Yes. There's executive and judiciary.
And judiciary.
Yes.
It depends. Are you an MP member of the executive? That's it. Yes. So in the next hour, keep it right here because we will be looking at this drama that's unfolding with regards to the BBI and the next move for the BBI. So more than 50% of the counties debated and passed the Constitution Amendment Bill. It was taken to Parliament,
Also
National
the-
Assembly, and the Senate. It emerges that some of those county assemblies were debating their own thing. Not what was published, not what was taken to the IEBC. So where did they get what they were discussing?
And what did they discuss?
And what is it that they were discussing? So what is... Hey, and what exactly is going on here?
Let me ask you again, Eric. My mind traveled a bit. What are we discussing? We're still on
No,
BTDA.
we are moving to
we are moving
BBI.
to BBI.
Same story, same thing, right?
Actually, same. In fact, the
Same
script
thing.
can be applied. Same script, now
Everywhere.
different cast.
Okay.
Let's
Yes.
take a look at traffic. Good morning. It's 8 o'clock.
Spice up your life.
And it's doing its thing on Mombasa Road this morning. It's absolutely crazy. All the way from Sabaki, then to General Motors. Imagine that stretch. Traffic is moving very, very slowly this morning, guys. A combination of many things. The weather earlier on in the morning, trucks waiting to get through into the Way Bridge. Seems like they all arrived at the same time. Crazy. And so what we see now is that traffic till General Motors. It is going to let up a little bit after that. Then you can get onto the southern bypass and into the city much quicker. If you decide to stay on until Nyeri Stadium, remember you're going to have to go via Langata Road, then onto Aerodrome, or then out towards Bagathi Way in order for you to get into the city, because Bunyala Nyeri Stadium stretch still closed, at least until the 29th. We'll see what happens thereafter. Are you coming from town onto Mombasa Road? You're going to have to go then onto Bunyala and then use Baricho onto Workshop Road and then connect with Mombasa Road. All right? Coming off of Thika Road, the bypass will help out. Outer Ring going in that direction to Thika Road if you're coming from Mombasa Road. And then into the city, you shouldn't have too much of an issue. The service lane's also working pretty well this morning. Coming out of Westlands, it's okay. Getting into town and outbound as well looks pretty good. Let's take a look in a short while and see how this all has changed or stayed the same. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
Very good
The
morning to
only
you.
way
This
to
is
start
the
your
third
day.
hour of the Situation Room, this lovely first Friday of the week, 22nd day of April 2022. Some people in this country
21.
will say...
Sorry, okay. Just continue. It's okay. No problem.
Some people in this country will say this is the 21st day of the month. Others will say today is Thursday. It doesn't matter. We are used to all of us reading different things and we're in the same room.
See where you're going.
We'll be talking about that shortly. Citi, tell us about today's proverb.
Other people's wisdom prevents a leader from being called a fool.
Other people's wisdom prevents a leader from being called a fool.
Yes.
I think you listened to Okiya Omtata yesterday and you decided to come up with this one.
Actually, no. I was thinking about this. I mean, I've had this proverb with me for the longest time. I first came across it sometimes in January. And then I shunted it aside like some of the others that I do. But when I looked at what was happening in Chad, that's what spurred my thinking. And I was thinking to myself, you know how you got into power, all right? For these 34 years, you've been ruling because essentially you control the army. You even ensured that your children have very key positions of control within your armed forces. And then every once in a while, you have to put on your fatigues when you think that there is a problem, and when there's a problem, and you go to an area that one could best describe as a danger zone. you got in by the gun. Suddenly your exit is also by the same weapon. Had you not been there, this need not have happened, would it?
Yep.
So the question that I was asking myself is, who advises this person? Or does he advise himself?
Or does he have advice and then just chooses not to take it?
That is now the other option. So it is, Okiya Mtata may have spurred on that thinking, but this was the thinking that was actually predominant in my mind. Yes. Because you have to ask, the situation, the circumstances under which you find yourself now as a leader, surely, are there not things that you ought to consider? But then, tyranny of habit. You've been president for so long that I guess you can't see yourself as not being president. And you've done this so often, you can't see any harm coming from doing this thing that you've always done before.
Yep.
Is that not the same thinking that people who are involved in cartels and the things that we keep talking about, same thinking? It's like, what do you think is going to happen to us? Something will happen.
It's also the misdisguised notion that you're going to be there forever.
Yes.
Without realizing that this is life that you live a part of and that it
we've
could
done
change
we've done this
tomorrow.
for long.
Yes. And we know Kenyans.
We know Kenyans.
Yes. They will talk, they'll go.
Munya.
Yes.
Kiunjuri was there.
Yes.
Where is Kiunjuri now? This is Munya. Munya, you'll go.
Everybody goes at some point or the other.
Why?
Yes.
Before we move to the next conversation, Kalon Dankoli says, 2 years ago, I destroyed these tea bushes. Too much input and less pay. They give my advice to tea farmers, destroy these tea bushes. That is a frustrated farmer.
Go. That's it, right there.
Frustrated farmer.
Eric, do you remember what happened to the tea industry? Okay. What did people do? They made it in real estate.
Yes.
Figured, this is growing coffee. Not helping.
Coffee,
not helping our
get
lives.
it. Tea,
Not helping our lives.
Some things has happened in
By
very
the
many
way,
of these
it's
areas.
already happened in the sugar industry.
People are burning their cane.
Yep.
Well, the thing is, you do not see benefit. 18 months that plant is growing. Then somebody wants you to wait another 18 months to be paid. No.
And when they pay you, they have deducted everything, including those 18 months that you waited.
You actually even wonder, you have to ask, what am I doing this thing for exactly? And you'll find you're actually better off not doing anything about it. Let cattle graze on your land. It is easier, simpler. There are no expectations, there's no expenditure.
Now, you see, now, but this is what we talk about. You know, oftentimes it's as though you're putting a heavy burden of responsibility on government when you say that actually your job is not to make sure that this crop grows. Your job is not to make sure that somebody gets it. Your job is to make sure that you create and continually foster an environment upon which or through which these things can be done. So you don't have a frustrated farmer. So you don't have somebody who has land that can be tilled for cane, that can be tilled for coffee, that can be tilled for tea, and somebody says, you know what? The bother of this and me getting into a worse off situation than when I first planted that first seed, I don't need it. Thank you, but I don't need it. The job then is to make sure that this individual, these communities are able to actually do this thing over and over again and thrive. That's the job.
You know what is strange, Ndo? I talk about the sugar industry because it's something I'm familiar with. And one could argue intimately. How do you come from a position where the smallholder, whose harvest was 2.5 acres of sugar cane, could take their children to university abroad with that, educate, get a life, do things, and then you suddenly find that this same farmer now cannot even eke a living from it? How do you explain this? And the demand for the byproduct of this cane has not decreased.
Continues to rise.
Yes. How do you explain that simple logic? Does it make sense to you?
Bandit economy.
Yes.
That's all it is. So something is emerging out of Windsor. The Joint Parliamentary Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs. This one is bringing in members of the National Assembly and members of Senate who have been looking at the BBI. Apparently, they are realizing some things. One, that what they have been looking at may not be the same document. Two, that what the 47 counties looked at may not have been the same document. And there are now very many questions that are being raised on exactly what happened. Proponents of the BBI are crying foul following claims that county assemblies passed different versions of the Constitution Amendment Bill, exposing the process to legal questions. It's emerging that 34 assemblies processed an erroneous bill that made reference to a non-existent article of the Constitution while explaining how 70 constituencies would be created. So 13 counties received a bill that is different from what 34 counties received. What are these discrepancies? It's on some certain articles. So, for example, if we look at them, the document sent to most counties makes reference to Article 87.7, which does not exist in this particular bill, instead of Article 89.7 on delineation of boundaries. The version that the Senate has makes reference to a non-existent Clause 3 of Article 97 when it meant Clause 2 as correctly captured in the National Assembly version. Bills in both houses seek to amend Article 188 when the BBI bill actually wants to amend Article 189 on cooperation between county and national governments. And so on and so forth. A teacher writing on the blackboard, Mwalimu Muga, does ... and so on and so forth. Now, what exactly is this? What's happening in this particular process? Let's just take ourselves back to what happens, all right? President, Prime Minister sit. They tell us they consulted others, including the Deputy President. Form BBI task force. Task force goes around the country with 2 joint secretaries and wazirs. Go collect views, come together, prepare a report, present to the appointing authority. They are told, go again, listen to the people. They go again, they listen to the people. They come back with another document and say, now this one has captured more views from the people. They present it. It's published in the media. There's conversation about it. People start making noise here and there. One version is again published. It has a couple of amendments from the previous one. On the day it was being launched now, we are launching a signature drive by the President and the former Prime Minister. Some of the things contained in that bill that was now published in the Kenya Gazette are not the same as the report that was presented to the same principles. Okay, sawa, let's say now, this is the published bill. This is the one. Published Kenya Gazette. They present 4 million signatures. The former secretariat present 4 million signatures to the IEBC. IEBC verifies the signatures and says, yes, you've reached the threshold as set out in the Constitution. They have received a bill from the secretariat and the proponents of the Constitution Amendment. IEBC is then supposed to transmit this bill, one bill, to the 47 county assemblies. 47 county assemblies receive the bill. Each of them debates, discusses, and votes either to vote yes or no on this bill. Do not change a comma. Do not add another page. Do not color anywhere, just as it has been presented to you by IEBC. After you have passed it, you send a memorandum. The Speaker sends a memorandum to the Speaker of the National Assembly and Speaker of the Senate. One Speaker of the County Assembly sends a document to the Speaker of the Senate to the Speaker of the National Assembly. Now it emerges that what came from IEBC, 13 counties received version A, 34 counties received version B. What came from some speakers of the county assemblies, one version went to National Assembly, another version went to the Senate. And for that reason, Pastor Latif is going to read you a verse in the Bible. Genesis chapter 11, verse 5. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. The Lord said, if as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go, the Lord said. Let's go down and confuse their language so that they will not understand each other. Verse 8, so the Lord scattered them from there all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. And that's why it's called Babel. Because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there, the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. Have you started speaking different languages?
Let me ask this question, Eric.
You are going to sneeze with your ear.
Okay.
Or you're going to sneeze and you will cover your nose.
Okay. Everything makes sense up to the point where it gets to IEBC and then it is supposed to be transmitted. So how is it, before transmitting this document to the 47 counties, am I to understand that the IEBC were not aware of what they were transmitting? That their job was in, out. You don't look at it, you don't read it, you don't verify it, you do nothing
It's
with
not
it.
your job.
It's not your job. It's not your job to read
Your
it
job
and say,
is to
okay, is this
verify
okay? Is
signatures.
it sounding all right? Is it reading?
All
Is
right.
it reading well?
Okay.
No, it's not your job.
Okay. They got one document.
Supposedly.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask. Was it one document that they received, or was it two documents, or was it three documents? Because if they received the same document, then how then is it that some counties got a different version and others got a different version?
Or did somebody
And
get it on a flash drive? You save it on your laptop, and then you say, okay, print version 1, and then you save it as something, and then you realize tomorrow morning you didn't quite. What? Because now you're starting to ask yourself
But it's
so
a
many
flash
questions.
drive that had viruses.
Oh, Abio. It could have been anything, because at this point, how is it that certain counties got one, others got another?
And the source that sent is the same.
How?
That one
Because they got it. Let's be clear here. By the time that one final version was handed over to IEBC, their job was, your job is, take this and transmit to counties, to county assemblies. They are the ones who had that job. It was not take this and give it to somebody else, let that person take it. No, you transmit to county assemblies. County assemblies received from IEBC. So where did this anomaly come in?
You know where my mind goes when I'm thinking of this? I'm thinking of this program and process, as I call it, called IFMIS. It's also a centralized system that we use for transmitting money. Am I right here? Have I gotten this thing right so far?
So far, yeah.
Yes. Have we had cases where money which is supposed to go to the counties, because the allocation of money to counties goes through this system, have we had cases where counties get different versions of the money that they were supposed to receive?
Different versions.
All I know is that we've heard of some suppliers, government suppliers, paying the wrong person.
Sorry?
Yeah. NYS, for example, pays CT instead of paying Ndu.
Oh, that one we heard. Remember with the case of the governor for Kirinyaga? We even had a case of someone saying, I know the company that I own, I know the name has appeared, but actually I am not the one who received this money. Yes, that one I've heard. But I'm
also,
going to,
someone else saying, I hear you guys are saying there's some 12 million shillings in my account. Okay, I will return it.
I did not know this money was in my account.
I didn't invoice for any kind of money like this.
I don't know why I would pay this kind of money.
Yes, but yes, that we've heard, all right? But I'm asking the question, money at this IFMIS place, okay, going to counties.
Wrong version.
Wrong version of money, meaning it was supposed...
you were supposed to receive 12 billion and they were supposed to receive 14.
Yes.
You received 14.
They received 12.
Or better still, you have to receive 20.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't.
Maybe.
Or Kenya National Examination Council, there are all these exams that are being transmitted physically to all the exam centers in the world, the country.
Yep.
Have we had a situation where, say, biology practicals, for example, that one country, the version that we've gotten here of this particular is a bit strange, a bit different. And all that appears at the time when people are marking and saying, what
or
are
you
we
receive
marking?
chemistry on the day you should have received biology.
Yes. Have we had it happening? The answer is no. So, how on earth? The explanations...
IEBC conducts multiple elections on
day.
one day.
One day. Yes,
okay?
Throughout the country.
Throughout the country. What you receive in a certain ward is different from what they receive in the neighboring ward.
Because it's different.
Because the candidates for this ward are different from the candidates in the other ward.
And they don't get it
never
wrong.
confuse and say that Ward A received ballots for Ward C. Never.
It's never happened.
Never.
Never.
Or it came in a certain way that this one is a ballot printed member of parliament, and candidate number 1 is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta with William Ruto. And the other one is Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka. And the ballot is written member of parliament. Never.
Or when you have the presidential candidates, you hear William Ruto and his deputy is Raila Odinga for this one. You've never seen it. Or Kalonzo Musyoka and deputy Uhuru Kenyatta. You've never seen it.
So it would be acceptable to say that there maybe was a mistake in the ears and minds of some people, but I refuse to see that as just a mistake.
There's
just a mistake.
It is very unlikely that this was just a mistake. And what really has happened here?
It is not also the first time that IEBC has handled a constitution amendment bill by popular initiative
that is being handed over to
county assemblies.
It's
they
not the first
did the
time.
same with Punguza Mizigo. County assemblies received the same bill.
Now, you want to ask yourself a question. These typos and misuse of commas and article changes in numbers, how significantly does it change the message of this initiative?
The question I'm asking is
88 to 189, number 1.45 and things like that. Would it bring about a significant change in all of this?
Yes,
it would.
Actually, commas, apostrophes. They
yes,
do.
It would.
Clause.
Number 2.
They change everything.
The clause is different.
Number 2. The counties to which these documents went that had the specific changes, how significantly do they matter in the course of these decisions when it comes to then passing these documents? Number 3, those counties to which the changed document went to, did they read, understand, and pass this document? Because if they did, they made the decision, supposedly, based on what they had read. Would it have changed had it been a different document?
You're right, by the way. It raises a number of issues. And this is issue number 1. So yes, county assemblies, just like the National Assembly and the Senate, are not expected to amend the bill as presented to them. But they're supposed to read through the bill. Okay? And that's why it goes through the various stages. It's received at the county assembly. It is transmitted to the committee responsible. And the committee responsible should hold public gatherings for public participation on the particular bill before then it's brought back with a report to the assembly of the whole house, and the assembly of the whole house votes. Now, during this entire process, is there no point where members of this committee notice
typos
that we are talking about amending Article 97 and this Article 97
this is actually
does not
189.
exist?
Or it doesn't exist at all?
On the other hand, you'd ask yourself, is there sufficient time that's given to a county assembly to go through an entire bill like that? Is there sufficient time? The assumption here maybe would be that the proponents of the bill have gone through their bill and they have checked everything. They are bringing the bill to us, and so we should debate the bill. The counter argument to that would be the proponents of the bill are proposing amendments. You should be looking at those amendments with a fine-tooth comb. What does this amendment mean? What does it mean? If you're saying let's amend Article 97.7, Article 97.7 is about this, and you're talking about the other thing. You guys are wrong. Present a report and say, Mr. Speaker, sir, the bill that has been presented to us is proposing to amend an article that does not exist.
Eric,
no such report.
Eric, look at the center of the discussion about the bills and the amendment that is required. Where does it center? Parliament. And if indeed there were these errors as they are being referred to, where do you think they would need to go for them to be amended? Is it the BBI Secretariat or is it Parliament?
Is it Parliament?
So, unfortunately, with the history of our Parliament, any such issue when it comes up, and one gets the impression that everything seems to be heading in the direction where Parliament has to play a role in this. Just that alone, in my mind, raises more questions than I can actually even fathom how to even begin answering. Because the things that took place, the question that has been asked, and which I enjoy myself to, why now?
Yeah, what's happening now? Really?
I mean, honestly.
Really?
After all this time.
You have seen the nail. You are holding a hammer. You, hammer, nail, head. Pa!
Yes. Now.
Right there. Right there. Let's take a break. 24 minutes after 8. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. Do you trust these shenanigans that we are seeing now emerging about the BBI amendment bill? Are you actually buying this whole story? Why now, like CT is asking? Let's take a break. We'll be discussing this shortly.
"24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
It's time to answer questions that are worthwhile. The Big Quiz Show is here. Register to play from the comfort of your home by SMSing the word JOIN to 23774. Then watch the live show on KTN every Sunday from 8 p.m. where you could have a chance to win a melee. The fastest and most accurate answers are guaranteed to win. The Big Quiz Show, Sundays at 8 p.m. only on KTN.
As the Kenyans are roared into the home straight here. 4 Kenyan queens have lit up this balmy Bahamian night.
It's where the rivalry is unmatched, where the soul meets the track, where the great are distinguished from the good. An arena where the records are broken.
A new world record. It's not just been beaten, it's been obliterated.
A stage where the legends are born. For Team Kenya, the Olympics is more than just a sport. It is our tradition. It's an event that has put Kenya on the roadmap. The Standard Group lets you watch every minute and every action live in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, because we live for Team Kenya. We live for the game. At Standard Group, sports lives here.
Sugar and spice and everything nice, just the way you like it.
The Spice Drive. The weather with Spice
All right, so cloudy conditions are basing a little bit in Nairobi on 17 degrees. Drizzle in some parts, but for most, it's over now. 16 will be the low, highs of 24. 23 the high in Nyeri, where it continues to rain in some parts at 17, lows of 16. 15 will be the low in Nakuru. It's cloudy at 18, going to highs of 26. 25 will be the high in Eldoret. It's mostly cloudy now at 17. It's mostly cloudy in Kisumu at 20, highs of 27 and lows of 19. Highs of 25, lows of 17, where it's mostly cloudy at 21 in Kakamega. Mombasa, light rain in some parts at 27, highs of 32 and lows of 26. 26 will be the low in Malindi, where it's 28, going to highs of 31. 24 the high in Kampala, light rain at 19. Partly sunny conditions in Dar es Salaam now at 26, highs of 31 and lows of 25. It's sunny in Johannesburg at 14, highs of 21 and lows of 10. 33 will be the high in Lagos. It's mostly clear at 26. Sunny conditions in Kinshasa at 24, highs of 33 and lows of 23.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM.
Zambezi area, you know where that is. No movement whatsoever today, and no traffic police there to try and sort out things. So everybody is moving at a snail pace today. Coming off Mombasa Road, it's looking a little bit better than what it was previously, but it's still going to take some time to get out of this one. The bypass is offering some good reprieve for people coming from the ICD, and the bend just after the bridge is going to take some time, but you're connecting there and getting through to the city without too much of an issue. Okay, the Likoni interchange and then joining the southern bypass as well might be an issue. There's a flooded section of Lusaka Road today, and that's causing a huge tailback all the way to the City Stadium roundabout. So, City Stadium roundabout, trying to get onto Landis Road, trying to get through to industrial area, chock-blocked because of that flooded situation. That's going to take some time to get out of as well. Those are the hot spots that we're looking at right now. Traffic seems to be flowing better in other parts. Keep an eye on things. Help us out where you can. SpiceFMKE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
Sugar and spice.
Spice up your mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, 29 minutes after 8. In the room, you have Siti Muga, Ndu Oko, and Eric Latif. We're talking about these reports that counties may have passed, may have debated and voted for different versions of the Constitution Amendment Bill being sponsored as BBI. Now, Siti, before we went to the break, you raised that question, and I want to pose that question as well. Do you believe these reports that counties may have debated and voted on different versions of the BBI?
You see, Eric, there's this issue that has been attributed, or the comment has been attributed to the Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo, where he says that this anomaly was brought to their attention by Professor Patricia Mbote. She was one of the candidates for Chief Justice position, and Dr. Collins Mbote, as is reported here. Okay? Now, what was it that they looked at? The documents that were presented to them, or did they go back to the IEBC to look at what the IEBC actually transmitted? Because saying this is what was presented to us and you give it without due reference, or the reporting of due reference being done to what was actually sent. Why I ask why now? If I present to you a copy, now, was this thing in PDF? Was it in Word? What was it in? There's too much that isn't being answered here. Because these two professionals, this is what they were presented with, this is what they looked at. Now, how does what they were presented with to look at, how does it relate to what was sent to the IEBC and what then the IEBC transmitted? I mean, look, all these questions need to be answered. And then the primary one, why now?
First of all, I want to start from that point. What is the likelihood, really, that there were two versions of a bill that was transmitted to the county assemblies, a majority receiving a version that is not what was originally published in the Kenya Gazette notice and presented to the IEBC, and a minority of 13 receiving the actual version? What is that probability in this day and age?
And in this country?
You can't chuck it out of the window. That's
no,
sure.
It's a probability. It's certainly is a probability.
With high probability.
How so? Explain.
Okay, well, look at it like this. You have 13 counties who you probably have an idea would want to scrutinize this thing to the bone. So you make sure you give them the authentic document.
Who is we? You making sure that you are giving. Who's this? Who's this you?
Well, I can't throw away the possibility that that there are some who would want to control this process.
Listen, in this country, things happen, but there's intelligence everywhere. This is not a bill that was taken and to a certain office and then it was stamped and returned. This is a bill that was taken to a public office called a county assembly. It was scrutinized at the county assembly.
Was it though?
Well, it was being scrutinized at the county assembly. We can say that it wasn't given due scrutiny, but it was being scrutinized.
Due process. We're talking due process. It was followed.
It was followed. The possibility, first of all, of what has been published by the government printer in the Kenya Gazette notice not being what the Secretariat is taking to the IEBC, can be a possibility there.
Yes, they can.
You know, any political games being played. However, the possibility of that happening and going unnoticed is low. Second possibility for me, I'm saying, it has gone to the IEBC. IEBC has no role of looking at this bill. Okay, so it's looking at 87, that's not their job.
Not their business.
Their job is, okay, here's the bill. Our job is to look at the signatures and to verify that the individuals that you cite here are actually registered voters. And that they did. From that point on, transmit this to the 47. The possibility of some shenanigans taking place here, somebody sneaking in a wrong document and then that being transmitted is high. The probability of that happening and going unnoticed to how many counties again?
47.
34.
34 counties receiving a different version And all of that being unnoticed and not even being mentioned anywhere until yesterday.
And they pass it.
Until yesterday.
What's the probability?
In this country, probability of that? Aye, my friend, I have my doubts. It goes to the National Assembly, it goes to the Senate. Senators and members of the National Assembly sit in a joint committee. Joint. You are looking at documents. Then it somehow emerges that what you guys have and what we us guys have
not the same
are
thing.
not the same
hold
thing.
it. They bring in 2 experts.
Yeah. Experts even come and, experts are now being asked, so what is our role as Parliament? So what is your view? What, all those things, and then it starts emerging, by the way, these things are different. By all that happening and somebody not knowing that this is happening. Slim. And that's why I raised the question, so what exactly is happening here? What's happening? Like City is asking, why now? What's this? What's this?
Did you read of a report where some of these eminent experts we have in these things coming in at every phase? Yes, they did come in. They were part and parcel of even bringing these documents to fruition. But the truth of the matter is, it is unfortunate that all these questions that we are actually now raising, even if you go to the IEBC, are we saying that the things that we're talking about as probabilities can actually be realities? You see, if we say that then that they can be realities, then the IEBC cannot conduct any election in this country.
This is not even about an IEBC issue, by the way. This is about an entire system of government.
Yes.
This is about our intelligence system. This is about our political system, that it can go like this unnoticed for so long.
You see, why I start with the IEBC.
And not just an isolated case
don't
at
think it
one
was
county.
unnoticed.
If you tell me at one county, it's possible that, that Akanithi County received a different version, which had
But how
But I
would
don't
they?
think
we
it
can
was
even say
unnoticed.
that can have been played as a game.
I don't think it was
Eric,
unnoticed. I
that's
think that
my
folks
point,
are well
Eric.
aware of what has been going on, and then this just presented an opportunity for it to come out in the open. I don't think it has gone unnoticed, just like you're saying, that suddenly we want to pretend as though we are shocked that, okay, what you have is different from what I have. I don't think it has gone unnoticed.
Okay.
I think it's very clear to us now that folks knew exactly what was going on, but decided that they were going to be very quiet about it.
How many folks?
Until an opportunity came.
No.
Until an opportunity came for it to be presented in the open that clearly something untoward had
That's
gone on
also
here.
another probability. But then, look, why I'm bringing to the IEBC, was there another body that was transmitting these transmitting this bill to the 47 counties? It's just one. So, what are we saying? That they transmitted 2 different versions?
There's also another possibility, City,
Please.
that this alteration happens within the county assembly.
That is a possibility.
Between the point of county assembly clerk receiving, transmitting this to the whole house and the committees, and speaker bringing it back as a report to the 2 houses of parliament, a game could be playing there.
There, because are we saying that's
and those
why
are 47. Those are different players now. You're talking about 47 different players as opposed to this one player who has a job here. Take.
it's possible. It is very, very possible. Because at some point, that document was probably going to be in hard copy. And even if it wasn't, there is nothing that prevents you from altering the document, even if it was in PDF. You can convert it to yes, you can convert it to Word. You just need to get an app that does that for you. Unless it was sent in a format that is beyond any of these changes that can be done.
Of course, it can be done.
Yes, so.
I think the
Yes.
shock and awe and whatever is just something that should be left for the Oscars. The shock and awe that we're seeing from committee members between Senate and Parliament, I think everybody probably has an idea of what may be going on here. And I think it's just for theatrics now. Because it would appear that, oh, hold on a minute, what you have is not what I have. How is it that then 13 out of 47, then the remaining 34, for you to think that there's actually some shock, that they too are also very surprised about what is going on. That's why I said I don't think it has been unnoticed. I think it was clear what was happening. And yes, it's possible that at the county assemblies, because yes, the role of the IEBC is not to scrutinize the document and see the details of as to who wrote what and whether there was a comma standing out. It's not their job. Did you have it? Do you have your signatures? Yes, move it on. It's possible that something else went on beyond that transmission. Then you want to come and show us now that you're very shocked that you did not know, that you were not aware of what was going on. Why now? The legitimacy of this initiative has already been questioned as about a month ago. And people started asking questions. Do we really need to do this now? Is it absolutely necessary? For me, it's just another round in the chamber for you to say, okay, here's another way for us to shoot down this thing.
So it's part of the
to
choreography.
show, absolutely. Then you want to start to attack the legitimacy of this initiative and say, actually, you know what? Beyond not having the money for it, beyond it not being the right time for you to push this in the country, look at it now. You have different versions of this document floating around. So which is which?
Maybe we should wait for a third version. We only talk about 2.
For all you know, there could be 5.
There were many versions. I mean, these documents develop and change with time as discussions come in. But the understanding that by the time it was actually being touted as the document.
When it is published
yes,
by the government printer,
that's
it. Is one document.
It is one document. It is one document.
So how is it now
the
that
government printer is not doing 2 versions? The government printer is not doing 2 versions.
You know, if we really want to go the route of conspiracy theory, then we should ask, who says the government printer can't print 2 versions?
Look at the way this thing has been going. This thing was all hunky-dory along across the country. County assemblies passed this thing with fervor. Everybody. What was the number at the end of the day? 44-3? 46-1? Something like that.
Funny number.
Right?
Some of them, they said there's no point of us even debating this thing.
There's no point for us debating this thing because it has gone through. Yes. Everybody was singing the same chorus. It was a national kumbaya moment, right? It was great. Then all of a sudden we started to see things happening. Wait a minute. Political parties coming and standing and saying, actually, you know what? Maybe it's actually not time. Okay. Others coming out and saying, actually, you know, this money, maybe we should actually use it then to fight COVID if we actually have the money. All right, it's not the time to even start discussing. And then not less than a month later, you find out, hold on a minute, 2 versions of the same document.
Not even 2. We don't even know whether there are 2.
Maybe they're even more. So it would appear, and then we say it went unnoticed. No. An opportunity to shoot it down and to disregard it? Brilliant. How do we know if there are even 2? How do we know if there are any?
If you look at the chronology of the games, okay? So after it has been passed by the county assemblies, it has been debated and passed by the county assemblies, it goes to this joint committee of National Assembly and the Senate. We start hearing of but what is our role as members of parliament? No, we must be allowed to amend. No, we cannot amend. No. Those who are pushing for we must amend are senior counsel, top-level lawyers, legal minds, who participated in writing the Constitution.
Yep.
They come with their interpretation of the Constitution now and say, no, we can't. Okay?
Now.
Then those who are opposed to even changing an iota, a comma, are senior members of the National Assembly. Junaid Mohammed, who is a co-secretary, a co-chair of this secretariat of IEBC, is in the leadership of the National Assembly. He says, absolutely no way this document can be altered. National Assembly Minority Leader John Badi, chairman of ODM, says, absolutely no way this document can be altered. James Orengo says the work of Parliament is to legislate and there's nothing that stops the Houses from making amendments to the bill. These are senior leaders of Parliament having this public spat on the fate of this particular document. And then just when we thought, maybe they need to be sat down and told, you guys, read from the same script, it now emerges, there are different versions. Let's pose this question. What do you make of this drama that's unfolding with a constitution amendment bill being sponsored as the BBI bill? What do you make of this drama? Do you actually see that the possibilities of all these things happening, that it could have been, innocent mistakes that took place? What exactly do you think is happening? Amani in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning, Eric. Good morning, CT. Good morning, Du.
Good morning, Amani.
Happy Friday, Amani.
Indeed, happy Friday. They say in Kiswahili, I'm not a Swahili expert, but haraka haina baraka.
Yeah.
You do know, of course,
Haraka
that
ina baraka, so let's just understand
there's
that
an
we are
English,
Thursday.
there is a version that is purported to be the English version of this one. Do you know what that is?
yeah,
Haraka
it's
haraka haina
unholy-
baraka?
Unholy haste.
No, hark hark the hyena's back.
Okay, CT. Look at this. I mean, really, this thing was under super pressure. Move it, pass it. When you have that kind of scenario, those mistakes happen, and very often they're deliberate. Because people will use that to pass anything through, because they know people will not be looking at the detail. And again, the other thing is, if it was gazetted and it was printed by the government printers, I would imagine such an important document, like they do all the election things, that things are sealed, are properly sealed, every page. Not some pages, not some parts. Every page has that serious seal saying this is the document. Without that, this was just nonsensical. It was deliberate because there are many vested interests in this document. All right? And so I'm not surprised at all. And therefore it collapses. The BBI literally collapses because if there's no authenticity from the, the local government assemblies, it cannot have possible authenticity at higher levels of government. It's actually thrown out because you have to go back to the basics and get them to authorize the authentic document, if there is such an authentic document, which I highly doubt.
Do you think this was orchestrated all the way from the very beginning?
I believe so. I believe so because, as you said, there have been opposing parties against the BBI in general. There are people who do want the BBI, but they didn't have their interests secured. And so they want to do that as the process goes on by entering clauses, by removing others, by doing whatever it needs to protect their own vested interests. And that's where the problem is. It's a multiplicity of issues and vested interests. Some don't want it, so they want it thrown out. So the more confused it is, the better, because it has to be thrown out. Legally, it has no legal status or standing.
Yeah. But then you see how I see it, Amani, is for something that is so highly contested and there are so many vested interests, it actually makes it more difficult for a mistake of such magnitude to take place.
Oh, no. When there's carelessness, when there's haste, there's general carelessness, always. Recently, there were some people I know who are dealing with, inheritance issues and documentation, blah, blah, blah. Because there were different things that had to be put into that particular document. When the lawyers I guess we're running around doing different things or whatever. When the document came for signage, everybody signed apart from one person who insisted they had to read that document again. And when they did, it was a complete mess. It had nothing to do with the agreement. The agreement had been put on email and was like, yes, let's go with this. Yeah. It was the original document, which had been rejected.
Wow.
Now, everybody else signed it thinking, well, for sure.
In good faith.
We had, in good faith, that we have moved from point A to B, and now we have agreed. So the document that's coming to us reflects what's on the email. It didn't. The last person caught it because they refused to sign it in haste. They said, I need that document. I need to read it.
Wow.
To everybody's chagrin. But because they sat down and read it, they picked out all the issues and nothing had changed. So we had to go back to the drawing board. They had to go back to the drawing board.
To see what to do.
Yes. No, to change everything. You know, it was like, no. The last signatory refused to sign. And therefore, it could not go forward.
I remember actually, even with this particular document, Major John Say came out and said, look, I signed, but what I signed and what I'm seeing out here, I did not believe that this is what I was signing.
Exactly. And that's why I'm saying
Crazy.
I think it's deliberate. There are people who had probably were clean hearts and innocent, but a lot of people had vested interests, and some wanted to chuck it out, and it's clearly managed. The ones who want to chuck it out. the ones who thought, well, hopefully my interests will be protected and will go through unseen, have failed.
Thank you very much, Amani.
Okay, God bless, guys.
You
Cheers.
too.
Thanks.
James in Nakuru, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
We're fine,
Fine,
thank you,
thank you.
James.
Thank you very much. I've been following your conversation.
Yeah.
And first of all, the two hosts and the hostess, I think you're looking at this point very critically with a lot of objectivity. And it's a very good thing. This is really a trying moment for us.
Yeah.
And I think I don't like to belabor so much. I want to focus on the issues he was trying to raise. But somehow one of you brushed it off and you think you're trying to circumvent it. He was asking the IBC, what fidelity do they have to oversee our elections in the face of this, I like to call it a scandal. The document was with Waweru and Junet.
Yep.
They ferried it in catalogs of boxes and presented to IBC.
Yes.
IBC verified it. Verified it and received it. And they did all they're supposed to do in terms of processes and procedures. That document, that very document, is the very one IBC received from Junet and Waweru and presented to the counter assemblies. Unless they're telling us there's somebody, and Siti's point is very clear. He's trying to raise a very fundamental issue. Forget all the questions you're asking. All of you are asking good questions. If you look, if you aggregate them, assemble them, they really cast as person
on the IBC.
Even our country as it was, even our systems, and you people talked about intelligence and what have you. We rotten, but much more in IBC because this is a jurisdiction of IBC.
So would you say that somebody's controlling the IEBC to get them to do this? From what you're saying, is it that there's an element of control that somebody's wielding over the IEBC to behave in a certain manner, or are they making these decisions on their own as a commission?
I was coming to that, but I want to shorten this discussion. There's somebody at IBC who is being manipulated. It's not the entire IBC. And I don't like to go into the details the way you're asking, madam. But just there's somebody who is being manipulated at IBC. There's somebody who must. And I think CT says, and yet this other guy said, these programs can be manipulated. CT said, if is there an application that cannot be manipulated?
No.
And you didn't like to focus on that. You put this aside. If it can, and it can be done because these programs are made by human beings. Anything that is human can be changed. All right?
That's true.
So it's hard to see that it is possible, and we should not try to blame any other person, even the Senate, the National Assembly, or the counter assemblies. IBC, there's somebody at IBC, and I believe if the intelligence is genuine, which I think the intelligence is not genuine,
they would know something. But also, James,
they can get the bottom of the issue. They
remember,
can get the bottom from the IBC perspective. Don't start from anywhere else.
Remember. Think about this, James. Think about this, James. That this could also be part of of a ploy to also cast aspersions on the part of the IEBC. Just think about that. Let's hear from Joseph Gedaiga in Nyeri. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. What I want to say, most of the people knew about this issue. You remember Mother Karua is about some various BBI versions when they met, I think at Serena Hotel. But it was brushed away. And she raised some of the BBI versions being sent to counties. But IBC brushed it away. And IBC is not an independent institution. Just like EACC, DCI, KRA, all those are used. If this is just a ploy to make it late, so that we don't have a referendum this year. And you've heard about the Somali way, the extension of the term. Yes. So when we have the referendum by December, January, the president will say, now we don't have the delimitations of constituencies.
Yeah.
So we say a 1 year extension.
Let's extend so that we can finish this, so that we can have new constituencies in the next election.
How can the committee take about a month just to deliberate on certain one issue? And they were the same people who brought this BBI. If you look, those in the two committees, they are the same BBI promoters. They are the same who are in the Bomas. They were in 2019, 2020, 2021. They never knew this issue. This is just a ploy to say that it is that we are dealing with it. We are looking for experts. They are the same experts. They all, if you look at those committees,
that's very true, Joseph.
Are always Otiende Amolo, Omugeni, the one from Kangema. They are all of them are lawyers.
Same people. Thank you very much, Joseph. Asante sana for your call. At 5 minutes to 9 o'clock, time for us to take a break on KTN Home and also just continue the conversation on Spice FM. You've been with us on KTN Home from 7 o'clock up to now. Join us again tomorrow, the second Friday of the week, from 7 to 9. Switch over to Spice FM 94.4 in Nairobi, Mombasa 87.9, Kisumu is 102.5, Nakuru 96.0, 96.7 in Eldoret, Nyeri 90.9 and Malindi 97.7. As we take this break, let's remind you about the Kenya National Challenge. GenerationNextChallenge.com is a portal where you can register your children now that they are on holiday. GenerationNextChallenge.com, children from the ages of kindergarten all the way to 11th grade to acquire a deeper understanding of math, computer science, robotics, sharpening their computational skills and nurturing their creative abilities by connecting math to real life. So a number of age-appropriate challenges that your children can basically take on this. Good morning. 4 minutes to 9.
Spice FM.
It's getting hot in here.
Oh, everybody steals. It's better a thief who brings something small back. And I say to myself, there's no better thief. A thief is a thief, period.
All those bribes, how much they're getting per year, how much inconvenience they're causing, as much as you call it a small case, it's worth it to be convicted.
The truth is, we are a tribal nation. Because if we were not tribal, and I want to go back to this, you cannot continue walking around with a mug which is clean outside and it's rotten inside.
We have become a fuliza country. We have mortgaged our country because of debt.
You've got one chef working and the assistant chef wakati anatakana koroge unga nini hayuko.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
2.5 minutes to 9 o'clock. The conversation continues. So, yes, CT. Was it Sam in Nakuru? Yes, he was saying that you have raised a very valid question. And it's true. The question goes to IEBC. It's James. But I also say questions go to everybody who has touched this document. How do we know at what point this document became corrupted? Are we sure that what Dennis Waweru and Junet Mohammed presented to the IEBC is what the President and the Prime Minister were signing? Are we sure that what the IEBC was then transmitting to the county assemblies was the same document, or they are the ones, is that the point where the corruption took place? Or are we sure that the county assemblies, upon receiving, dealt with the document that they received?
The thing is that you can't, the answer is no. You're not sure. And because now that is being debated, that then lends credence to the possibility that this entire process is skewed. That is enough. to say that the entire thing, that you can now cast doubt on the entire thing because of the fact that you are not sure, because of the fact that you now have to ask questions because of the emergence of these things now. Then you start asking yourself, was it at the level of county assemblies? Was it at the IEBC? Was it whatever was handed to the IEBC with the understanding that they must do 1, 2, 3? The fact that you have to ask these questions along the line means that this entire process is not authentic.
You can actually even ask, are we sure that these reports are correct?
In the first place, are you sure that these are the views of Kenyans?
Are we sure that the county assemblies received different documents? Are we sure?
Are you even sure that maybe it was one document that everybody received? Are you sure? That you have to start saying that you can even say that that it's possible that these possibilities exist. Then there's a problem here.
There's
that
any
you have to
possibility
question
somewhere.
it. Yeah.
Let's take a look at the traffic and then we open up the phone line 0719 012 600. It's now 9 a.m.
Spice up your life. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, coming from Musaiga Square to the Pangani underpass at this time, after an easy morning, seems to be clogging up some. Coming from a thicker superhighway out then towards the city centre. Very slow at this point. So just for you to know that that's what lies ahead. We still have that issue around industrial area coming then to Jogo Road, spilling over. There's some heavy traffic because at Lusaka, there's a flood. There's a river in the road. All right. So we have to watch out for this one. And it's causing traffic going towards Jogo Road, out then towards Landis, into the CBD. Very slow, jam-packed. Those are the two trouble spots that we see right now. Of course, Mombasa Road still continues to be a pain, especially in some parts. And we heard that the CS apologized and said, Kenyans, please bear with us. As soon as it's over, this traffic situation will come to an end. He did. All right, let's look at what else it will look like in about half an hour or so. For now, try and wade through. Okay, SpiceFMKE on Twitter. Talk to us there or text us on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room,
2.5 minutes
the
after 9.
only way to start your day.
CT, before we check these calls, today's proverb.
Other people's wisdom prevents a leader from being called a fool.
Other people's wisdom prevents a leader from being called
a fool.
Okay. Let's go to the lines. Anthony in Mombasa. Hello.
Good morning, Situation Room.
Good morning.
I think even your proverb has summed up what I wanted to say. And in reference to the good book, when leaders make retrogressive laws that are aimed at pinning down the common mwananchi, when the common mwananchi goes to God in prayers, God brings confusion. And that's all I can say for today.
You've summed it all up. Thank you very much, Anthony. Good day. Ed Gitonga in Nyeri.
Morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I remember there is a time our city asked me why if I really believe in the government. And CT told me, actually, I'm so negative on the government. But the question is, CT, with such antics right now, do you think we will believe anything that's being coughed up by the government?
Well, since you've asked me the question, let me respond in a way that is unorthodox and ask you a question. You see, when one casts aspersions and you say you do not have clarity on an issue and you'd really like to understand, the support system of that particular way of thinking is the history. We look at what has been represented as government efforts, government deeds, processes, and when you question those things in the past and then you have something now, you find that it is easier to question because the norm has been the government does something and you find it questionable. You find it's something that requires clarity. So even this one, if questions are being raised, it's for that same reason.
I think the thing is, CT,
you will observe I didn't ask the question, I made a statement.
You made a statement, exactly.
Yes.
But here's the thing, I suppose that if these several documents that they're bringing out now in the limelight, I don't think, Eric, that if they brought such maybe a document in maybe some county assembly, it would have passed. And I am quite sure, actually, that even most MCAs couldn't have supported this if there wasn't some cookie in the jar, like car grants that they were offered. And it now makes you question whether indeed my statement, as I usually say, whether it's true or not, because as I say, there's nothing that a politician is going ever to support that lies with the benefit of the common wananchi. Because I can assure you of this, except maybe adding positions and adding some hula baloo that's going to, save their skins, I don't think there is anything that's going to change or any new change that is going to happen because of the BBI, with depending whether it's going to be there or not, because the bottom of the line is these guys have already started hoodwinking each other, not even hoodwinking us, because Sisi tulizoea.
Now they're playing themselves.
Yeah, like say, tulizoea. You're going to tell me I'm going to finish this road by 2020 something. You are going to finish 6 months at the elections because of the election clout that you want to baadaye. But now, I think now even the guys, sasa hata ma-MCA wanashindwa sasa hii ni gani sasa, because they didn't have it.
That's true. Thank you very much, Ed. Let's hear from John in Elbagon. Hi.
Morning, how are you guys?
Salama kabisa.
Interesting, looking at these names, Patricia Mbote and Collins Mbote, are they related?
It's Collins Odote.
It's Odote.
Odote?
Yes.
Oh, because in the nation is written Mbote.
It is written Mbote, but it isn't Mbote.
It's an error.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But now to the point. What was their mandate? Their mandate, if I remember very well, was to advise Parliament if they can amend the draft bill.
Yep.
Then now you come and ask yourself, at what point did they start auditing? Because if their mandate was to advise Parliament that, how could they reach a point and now discover that there are two different bills? Because they were not comparing. You're getting me?
Yes.
They were not comparing what was sent to County A and what was sent to County B.
Probably. I'm just thinking here what could have happened. Now, by the time the two professors, the two scholars are being called by Parliament and asked for their help, they have already interacted with a BBI bill, some certain version of a BBI bill. Okay?
Yes.
So you're being told, okay, come, help us go through this.
Yes.
And then during the course of your deliberations and picking the brief from your client, you hear your client mentioning a certain clause, and you ask yourself, but what I had read earlier before this is not what this person is talking about. So you go and check against what you have. You go and check against the Kenya Law Review website where the bills are published. And then you realize that what your client is giving you versus what is in public record are different. So you bring it back to the attention of your client and you're like, wait, but There's something.
And
Probably
okay,
triggered
that's
by
very good,
a conversation, yeah.
that's a very good way of explanation. But then, at what point do they now say that 13 of these got different, and or they 24 got a different version? Because my thinking is, maybe this information which was given to them, that if as you are doing this, just notice that this is Kenya. You know, somebody says, "Hami Kenya."
You're pointed in a certain direction.
Yes, it was. I mean, it's a certain direction. They must have been told, you know, this is a different one, and this one is, because I don't think it would have been very easy for them to notice that.
Of course.
So it must have been something which was given. I'm just imagining. There's a possibility that this is information which was given to them. It's not that they found out. They were told that this is what is there.
Okay,
so go and bring it out.
So now here comes in John's conspiracy theory.
That's a possibility.
What do you think was the game then behind all these things?
That is a difficult one. It's a difficult one to know the game. It's a difficult one to know even why they should have different versions. It is impossible, because I'm asking myself, this thing is sent to ABC. They are told print X number of number. It is the same PDF or Word.
Same source document.
Just click print.
The same source, yes, the same ink and the same everything. You print the same. So at what point does it change and become different versions?
In fact, the way such things should work is the IEBC does not even go to a photocopier. The IEBC communicates to the government printer and says, give us 47 versions of this bill, 47 copies of this bill.
Yes.
So it comes from the government printer as 47. We're introducing another player. Government printer gives you a box and says, here are
47 copies.
Unaona sasa mahali mchezo ingine inaweza kuwa.
And you know, I can't remember what. Sometimes back there was an issue with the government printer about printing something. I can't remember what it was.
Yes.
So government printer, if you ask me, that is where the issue is. That's where the things change.
I agree with you, by the way.
That is where things change.
Totally. Thank you, John.
We had something about government printer. I can't remember what it was.
Yes,
but
I remember there was something.
Sometimes back about government printer. Thank you.
Asante sana, John. Karanja in Naivasha, good morning.
Good morning, Eric Du and CT.
Good morning,
Karanja.
Yes. Now let me take you back about in 2000, maybe 2002, about 1998 and 2000, between 2000 and 2002. There was these things what we call the IPPD and the Ufugamano. They had different scripts about our constitution, the current constitution, before we went into the 2010 constitution. I think these people knew what was happening. I have a friend who works in a media house, and there was a time that we are conversing. He is a neighbor, my neighbor, and he told me the reason why we don't have the BBI copies, because, you know, when people know what is inside the BBI, more people will not go to vote for it. Look how the politicians were given this discretion. Somebody was against, but the most people who are in the newsroom, maybe in the media, like what you do in the morning, they came, they tell us, we shall be given this constitution, we shall be given this, what is the function of what. Now, when you go to the real BBI, it was not the same. It was not talking the same. So I think something was doctored in the BBI. In between, something was doctored in between, from the counties, from the parliament, from the Senate itself.
From
something
everywhere,
was doctored. Yes, the process was not a due process. Yes, it was a fraud process because something was doctored. Some of the people here, they blackmailed the Kenyans. They say was in the constitution. Now let us move this and we put this. Given the discretion of their political affiliations, You see, sometimes maybe right now, you can say I'm for Jubilee. Others can say I'm for NASA or maybe for the ODM. Now, the thing is, you remember what happened to Sagana? I have even some information, hiring information that when they immediately after Sagana, there was something that appeared there.
Yes.
Who went to Nyanza? Who knew what was discussed in Nyanza? Nobody knew. So, this is a drama. The shenanigans that is going around.
It's all choreographed.
Yes, the pedagogy that is going around, it is something was blackmailed, something doctored there, something watered there is something which is under the carpet that these people does not want to tell us. How come that the Speaker of the Speaker of the National how comes Eric, the Speaker of the National Assembly, is somebody who is running, and how comes he does not see the errors there? How comes about the Senate? We have people who are running there. We have the senior councils. What happened? Things were doctored. Things were blackmailed. We were blackmailed.
Tough questions.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Karanja.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely show.
You too. 0719-012-600. What do you make of these revelations that some 13 county assemblies... No, actually, it's the other way around. So 13 county assemblies received their proper bill. And then the other county assemblies, 47 minus 13 is...
34.
34 county assemblies received the wrong bill. According to the reports coming out here. In fact, even these reports are conflicting. Because Standard says 13 received the wrong bill. Nation says 13 received the right bill. This whole game.
So essentially, there's uniformity.
There's a wrong bill.
There's a wrong bill.
Everything is going wrong everywhere, even in the reporting.
Yes. Okay. There's something that's just not right. What do you make of all this? 0719-012-600. It's 16 minutes after 9. How's the weather going to look like?
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
Have you seen them? Am I lying?
Yes, it's a very nice outfit, I must say. Good
Thank
job.
you.
Asante sana.
The compliment is well received.
Good morning and thank you. Everyone was asking me what channel is SpiceFM.
96.7. Tell them that, right?
Yes, now they know.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have
you.
you.
What a beautiful studio, my friend.
I've been to other radio stations, but I've never seen anything like this.
Thank you, and it's very nice to be in a modern studio. Absolutely brilliant.
And I have to say, it's a very cool ambiance here in your radio room. Just for our listeners, I think it is below zero in this room here. Very Swiss temperatures.
All right, so the sun is peeking through those clouds in Nairobi. 18 degrees, highs of 24 and lows of 17. A high chance of rain later. It's raining in Nyeri still at 18, highs of 23 and lows of 16. 15 will be the low in Nakuru, where it's cloudy at 20 at the moment, going to highs of 26. 25 will be the high in Eldoret, 18 degrees at the moment and mostly cloudy. It's also mostly cloudy in Kisumu at 23. Coming down to lows of 19, it will go to highs of 27. 25 will be the high recorded in Kakamega today. It's mostly cloudy at 23. It's warming up in Mombasa, 29 now. It'll go to highs of 32, and the rain continues through most parts of the town. It's also raining in Malindi, 28, highs of 31 and lows of 26. Light rain in Kampala still continues at 23. We'll see highs of 24 and lows of 19. It's mostly sunny in Dar es Salaam at 28, highs of 31, lows of 25. Looking into the rest of today and around cities in Johannesburg, 16 degrees, highs of 21 and lows of 10. It's partly sunny in Lagos, highs of 33, lows of 26. 33 will be the high in Kinshasa. It's mostly sunny at 25. It's sunny in Beijing at 17. We'll see highs of 17, just that, and lows of 7. And it's also sunny in Paris at 6 degrees, coming down to a low of 5 and highs of 17. Partly sunny conditions in London at 3, highs of 12 and lows of 2. We're going to come into a cloudy day in New York at 4, highs of 10 and lows of 4.
Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4
to 9. A couple of comments on social media.
Yeah, quite some. Kenny Kenya says, the problem with Kenya is that we have no representation. The people who should represent us are sycophants of their parties. We should just dissolve this government and go for general election. Kenyans are on their own and they need to elect people who will represent them. Johanna Michael says, BBI bandits. Who is being played or fooled? That is the big question. When IEBC announced the Burning Bridges initiative, was it sabotage or error? That's a question Kenyan is asking. Remember they tweeted nicely. And he says the bill was doomed from the beginning. Sabotage. Whether it's IEBC working in cahoots with deep state, according to Abu Said, it is all sabotage. The fake BBI cortex, how and who is behind it is what Henry Malumu is asking. Thomas says these fake versions emerged because the county assemblies rubber stamped the documents without deliberating on it. They would have caught the anomalies if they went through it. The majority of the MCAs aren't privy to the contents of the BBI. Didn't read it in the first place, what they were saying. So how are you going to come later and say that there was a problem when you didn't even read it in the beginning?
Just as he's saying, there's chaos theory. There's always a pattern amid the chaos. There's always a pattern. It starts somewhere and you can see it as it progresses. Mwalimu Irongo Amos, good morning.
Yes, good morning, the situation room.
Good morning, sir.
Well, I'm fine. Now, as I've been listening, those who have spoken have brought out the image of Kenya, and sometimes you wonder what to say. But you see, there could be another problem, because I also don't want to repeat what they have said. There is a speaker who has just wondered what was taken to Nyanza, what was taken to where. Now, for this, whatever, call it a bill to have passed in all these counties, there is a possibility that the correct document was passed, was sent. But after when these MCAs were being given what they were supposed to read, some of the copies may have been altered to become as many.
By who?
As many. That I mean at the county assembly level.
Yep.
As many as the proponents would have wanted the people of that area to believe is in the bill.
Okay.
Now, another possibility is also that the BBI, those who do not want it, that is, they have also infiltrated the joint assembly, the national assembly and the Senate, to also bring it out to look like, you see, we told you this thing is not the best thing. So you can see now there's a problem. But I just want to take you back and we observe one thing. The BBI, so-called the Building Bridges Initiative, I remember I once spoke on this show that it's not a very important thing to us because we are told that we want to heal the problem that comes with the winner takes it all.
Yep.
So my question was there a winner? Was there an election in the first place? Because I remember Chebukati told us very clearly as the chairman of the Electoral Commission that the way the commission is constituted now, we cannot guarantee you a free, fair, and credible election because we are so divided that we hardly vote in the commission with our senses. We vote depending on whether we are in NASA or we are in the other one. But somehow, the election had to be, you saw it, everybody knows. Legally, we had an election, but the election itself was not legitimate. So this thing was brought to show us that, okay, the two warring factions have come together, we have no problem, but they did not have any content that brought them together at all. So my observation is that that's why we have all these problems, because in essence, they did not have anything to bring to Kenyans. There was no election, there was no winner, there was no loser, and the drama continues.
Just the drama continues.
There was nothing.
Thank you, Rongo.
Thank you.
Asante sana. Have a good day. Odhiambo.
Yes, guys, good morning to all of you.
Good morning, Odhiambo.
Yeah, next time you want to call me Eric, kindly call me God, because God is more spiritual than Odhiambo. Odhiambo is too common, so. Now, my name is Mogor in Nairobi, yeah?
Good morning.
Thank you so much, sir.
Very
now, you are having a very nice debate, but I want to say something, When you see Justice David Maraga, David Kenani Maraga, kindly pass my kind regards to him. Yeah, he made a shocker. He shocked the world, at some point here. Now, when you see Raila Amolo Odinga, though it's not my cup of tea, pass my kind regards to him. He shocked the world in just a few years ago. Now, what Maraga did shocked the world because the world did not believe it. Now, what Raila did to proclaim himself to be the people's president also shocked the world. Unfortunately, the world does not sleep, early, the way you people sleep. So the world has to look for a way, because Kenya is not owned by Kenyans. Kenya is owned by other people. Now, they had to look for a way of calming the situation in Kenya. That is the reason why a handshake had to be invented. A handshake is not Raila or Uhuru's idea. That is precisely some other people's idea.
External forces.
Now, for the handshake to succeed, so that we have a continued peace for the prosperity of the players, the economic players, an idea had to be hatched that gave birth to BBI in terms of amending the constitution to create some positions to ascend Raila to power. Now, doing that was going to control the political temperature of the Raila and the country as a whole. Now, and that is the reason why Salim Loan, people like Salim Loan and that lady, Sarah Eldakin, had to, take leave because their work was finished. Now, BBI, in my judgment, understanding a judgment, was not a reality. It was a way of keeping people, Kenyan, busy,
preoccupied,
and and sustaining the peace in the country. Now, so it was now closely tied to the Uhuru Kenyatta succession, so that the supporters of Raila could come down because they now knew their man was going to power. Otherwise, there is no power that BBI is going to bring. And then they coined it in such a way that a referendum would be done. And Raila is easily motivated by that kind of mobilization. So they knew if you put it to referendum, Raila would buy. And once Raila buys, the bigger bulk of the Kenyan following that believes in Raila politics
will come down.
Will be yes, they will come down.
So now if I was to ask you, God.
Sorry.
So
yes.
If I was to ask you, so with the drama that we are seeing unfolding now, you're saying this is all part of a long-winded script?
Yes. What I'm saying precisely that, it's easier to control the human mind and more so the African mind. Sorry, I'm an African. I'm not supposed to vilify myself, but it is very easy. Muzungu knows how to control the African mind. And that is why if you go back and look at the way BBI is coined, there is a very loud focal point on 35%. That you see, we are going to give you 35% revenue allocation to the counties. And everybody was hanging on that. And they knew that was a very easy catch point for an African mind. Who is going to give you 35%? Nobody. So, in my judgment, I think BBI has just come to its logical conclusion. And now what is happening, that there are several versions, is not a surprise. This is by design. Originally, it has to be like that. Now, it's not a surprise. You can't say those people signed, did what they did. No. Everybody knew it, except a few did not know. Now, what I don't know is whether Raila knew it was a game plan or whether he did not know. Uhuru, certainly, in my judgment, I know knew. So, because Raila had to be managed by all means. So they have succeeded in managing Raila, and the remaining bits can be managed through COVID admission at the hospital. And,
so just really quickly, you're saying now, so everybody around Raila wouldn't mind if this thing now burnt to ashes. It wouldn't matter.
Sorry?
You're saying now that even if this thing fell apart now, the initiative, or if it fell apart, nobody would really mind because they've been able to achieve what they wanted to achieve.
Oh yes. So finally the objective is achieved. But and again now you see, to make it even better, it's now that it's forming a big debate in SpiceFM. When the designers look sit down to what they say, yes, we are done.
We're good. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Let's hear from other callers as well. We have let's hear from Zachary. Zachary, good morning.
Oh, good morning, guys.
How are you?
Good morning.
Oh, morning, and I just wish for that day that I shall be there where you are, yeah?
Here.
So that you ask me how are things on the ground. I told you that you are supposed to have somebody who is on the ground, yeah? And I've got 2 questions to ask. Where is Monique?
Ndu? Monica's taken some time off.
Yeah.
No, tell her to come back unconditionally.
I will send her a message forthwith.
Okay.
Please tell her that we always feel good when we fall back into her hands after the hustle, the day's hustle. Yeah?
Yes.
Sour.
Tell her to come back unconditionally. The second question goes to Mr. Eric. Did you find the clip? It's a lie. It's a lie.
Not yet, Buana. It's a lie.
Oh my God! Can you move for it and then you make use of it there? Okay.
Okay.
Now, very quickly, way back in 2008, before even the idea of SpiceFM was conceived, I used to consume a lot of BBC, yeah? And after the agreement that brought about the coalition government, yeah? That reporter, or that the person who was trying to cover about Kenya, came up with a summary, a very short documentary about the violence and whatever, and finally he asked a question. Now there seems to be peace in Kenya out of this agreement, yeah?
Yeah.
But he asked a very, very, very good question, a very, very nice question, that for how long shall this hold? I hope I have made myself clear. Now, let me tell you, Mr. Eric, I myself, as Zachary Mugo Gikonyo, I've never, and I think I have stated it again and again, I've never bothered to know about BBI or and whatever goes around it, yeah? One thing that has come to offend me, because right now I'm in lockdown because of the results of the things surrounding BBI and the public gatherings and whatever, you see. I have never viewed it as a national issue. I always find it as an interest between two people. Now, let me tell you this one thing, yeah? All of you are aged, just like me, yeah?
Yeah.
The things, if you look with using what we call the benefit of hindsight and wisdom that has been accumulated over years, yeah? Because I know all of us have been patient to wait to be over 40. Some things that you did in your youth, you look at them and then you see the folly in them. You ask yourself, was I supposed to have done this? Yeah. And then you have at yourself, and then when you are dying, either of old age, you even call your people and tell them, I want to repent. I want to say sorry for what I did. Okay? Let me tell you, if we tame our greed, if all of us tame our greed, you would not have these things. that you're BBI, let us meet peace, let us meet so and so. No, we wouldn't. And I give you an example. Go out right now to Gekoba. You'll find that the people who are doing business there, and they are the ones who are keeping these big honchos in their big limousines. It is Akikuyu dealing with the Kalenjin, Akikuyu dealing with the Ru, Akikuyu dealing like me. Actually, I rarely deal with the Kikuyus in my business. Yeah. So why am I being disturbed that if you do not do this,
you need to make peace?
No. Peace with you. What have I done to Aru? So what we need to do is. Kenya is our country. I need to be at peace.
That's true.
I need to be assured that I'm going to do my business in peace.
Yes.
I need to give that other person, whether he is a Kikuyu or a Luo, I need to give him a chance to be, okay?
Yep.
And to exploit his full potential. So this thing is like, you come to my funeral and you are not even related. That you cry more than they believed. I mean, how is this?
Zachary, thank you very much. We hear you. Let's take a break now.
Have a nice day, guys.
Cheers, man.
26 minutes to 10. Let's see what the roads look like, and then we pick more of your calls. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the situation. Remember, jobs.standardmedia.co.ke, where you can go and find all the jobs that have been published on Standard Media Group by various organizations that are seeking members to join their organizations. Subscribe and get job alerts via email or via SMS, and then you'll see all the jobs that suit you. So if you subscribe, you'll receive the latest relevant jobs from across the country. Do not be left out. jobs.standardmedia.co.ke.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
Four teams, 12 host cities, 6 groups, all battling for one trophy. The long-awaited Euro 2020 is here at last upon us. The fans might not be within touching distance.
Good cross, Giroud attacks it and scores, and France are ahead!
But the atmosphere will only get to a fever pitch. From the 11th of June to the 11th of July, catch the tackles, the goals, and all your favorite football stars as the elite European nations go head-to-head. The Standard Group brings you the UEFA Euro 2020 tournament live across our channel. As the official UEFA Euro 2020 free-to-air broadcast partner in Kenya, because we live for the game. And that's why at Standard Group, sports lives here.
Okay, so the ISCD road this morning has helped quite a lot of folks get out of the traffic situation on Mombasa Road. It's looking much better now as you're trying to approach the city. It looks like it'll be all right. Coming past on Limuru Road, where there's a little bit of a hold-up right around Village Market, but they moved and we didn't have an issue any longer. All right, looking much better in terms of traffic around the city, guys. Industrial area where there's been a flood in the middle of the road, there it's going to be slow for some time. So please, let's just be careful. But traffic, the situation, much better now. Let's look at it and how it unfolds through the day. Talk to us through the day should you need to. SpiceFM KE, text on 40127.
Everything nice. All right. Okay.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice.
Surely. So what's all this drama? Lee Josephat says this government should be disbanded and everybody to go home.
It sucks to hear such cases.
And then John Gerard.
What oops? Impunity before pretentious elites. Yet Parliament approved this in half a day. Really, things fall apart. According to Chinua Achebe, prophecy never lie. Prophecy never lies. When the sun goes down, now who is to blame is the question. Fidel Jesus says, yes, absolutely. This is sabotage. Becky says, assuming the president reads the newspapers, what is going through his mind this morning? How does he feel? This is his baby. What's going through his mind seeing his baby performing so pathetically? Well, if the sabotage sayers are real, perhaps he was aware of this from the very beginning.
Perhaps his baby is growing very well.
The way it's supposed to be growing is how it's growing.
Genius.
So what you see happening is actually what was meant to happen. Perhaps.
Joseph in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning, too. How are you guys?
Good.
Very good, thanks.
Well, now, we will have to sound politics, kidogo. I used to say that the day I heard about BBI and I saw Raila and Uhuru coming to the public, I said Ruto should be quiet about this all around. Because Uhuru knew what he was doing. If he never brought this guy this close, hiyo barabara mnajenga ya ghorofa huko, sijui inaitwa aje, Uhuru Highway na Wayaki, haijajengwa. So many other things Uhuru would want to do, he would not have done that. We would be hakuna kitu kingine kimefanyika. So Uhuru knew what he was doing all around. This is all his game.
Okay, and are you saying that his brother Raila did not know?
If I'm saying
that his brother Raila did not know.
He did not know. Neither Ruto knew. No, everyone was guessing, including Kenyans.
Okay.
Everyone was, even today, all of us are guessing what is inside Uhuru Kenyatta's brain.
But
Raila is guessing,
Joseph,
Ruto is guessing, when I guessing.
Joseph.
Yes.
For 34 county assemblies to receive a document that is not the actual document, how is it possible that even the people in Raila's camp would not know? How possible is that? Surely.
Uhuru knew. Even Raila's guys are also genius guys. So there is a way he played it. There is a way he played it off. He knew from the word go, this thing can cost me, trust in the middle of it. So there must be a way he played it.
Okay.
It was all his.
And what's the end game?
Sorry?
The
end game, The end game, you wait 6 months to the election. That is when you see where the reality is.
Okay.
6 months to the election.
Okay. Thank you very much, Joseph.
All right.
Conspiracy upon conspiracy, because it clearly is baffling. It is completely baffling that if there's a possibility, first of all, the National Assembly has a different document from the Senate.
From the Senate, and then
how?
And they're in the same spaces. They're in the same spaces deliberating this thing. Right?
No, come on. But then I'm at a point where I'm thinking this whole thing is not true.
Which whole thing? Which one specifically?
That there are different documents.
That's what I'm telling you.
Not
For all we know, there's one document.
It is the same document.
Yeah.
This report here is a manufactured report.
Okay.
Somebody somewhere leaked information knowing full well that they are playing. And it's absolutely not true that these documents are the ones that went to the county assemblies and the ones that went to the Senate are different. Because if indeed they are, I'm telling you, this is not about a political genius of a political leader. This is about failure of an entire structure of government. Big failure.
Big failure.
For this to happen, it means the government printer printed different documents. For this to happen, it means that IEBC distributed different documents. For this to happen, it means that the county clerks of the 47 county assemblies received different documents
and presented
different documents to the county assemblies. For this to happen, it means that speakers of the 47 county assemblies appended their signatures to different documents. They were received in the National Assembly and the Senate, and they were different documents, and all that did not get noticed at any point. until these guys went to Windsor. Big failure. There's no way you can tell me that even our intelligence system missed that. That even the keen political eyes missed that. That those games could have been played and nobody leaked that information at any point and said, you know what, guys? Ebu, watch out.
And if it's on the other
There's
side,
a plan.
If it's on the other side and then it feeds the theory that it was choreographed, then obviously, again, same thing. We'll point to the same thing, that you're working within an inauthentic system.
If it is indeed true
That this has happened?
Then, my friends, we do not
That's
have
bigger problems than you thought.
We have a very big problem. John in Nyandarua, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good morning, John.
Very well.
Yes, how are you doing?
Yeah, good.
Very well, thank you, John.
Okay. Now, I'm fine now. Going straight to the point, I want just to say that this thing is totally baffling because I don't understand how the two legislative organs can have different documents. It's not possible. So now, taking into consideration that Kenya is a country of most of our leaders are politically con people. This thing is a thing that was played about between the opponents of BBI and some journalists. I don't believe that the document is the document was presented differently. It is the same document, but it's a con game being played by opponents of BBI.
Yeah, thank you, John. We've lost you. Josiah in Eldoret, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very fine.
We're fine too, thank you.
Yeah, I just have one thing to say. I believe this whole thing.
You believe it?
You know why?
Ah.
Yeah. When the Mzee, the guy, I forget his name, he's from Eldoret.
Major John Say.
Said that this is not what we discussed. We did not believe it.
Yep.
In fact, guys called him a liar. And you know, calling Mzee from Eldoret a liar, all Mzee, that thing, my friend, no, it is not.
Yeah.
It is very hurtful.
So for that reason, you believe that this is right. Thank you very much, Josiah. Omar in Kinango.
Yes, good morning, Eric and City.
Good morning, Omar.
Good morning.
I don't believe that any president can be duped that easily. Because this is throwing somebody's legacy to the dogs. Completely. And you know, there is always today and tomorrow. There is always what somebody would like to be remembered for. So do you think Uhuru is ready to be remembered to have led Kenya from a constitutional moment to a confusion moment?
It's doubtful.
Yeah.
I mean, what would he gain?
What do he gain from doing this?
Yeah, there is nothing he gains in it. I think, like the other caller has just said, this is the opponents of BBI plus some journalists. I don't know. There is somebody is trying to make us get into some conversation. As something else is being cooked. Maybe a scandal is in the making. You never know.
And if it's a conversation, then you could argue we are complying.
We are actually, because it's a big debate.
Thank you very much, Malim. Have a good day.
You too.
Esther in Mombasa.
Hello. Good morning.
Hi, Esther.
Salama kabisa. How are you?
Tuko mzima na wewe je?
Are you well? Have you been well?
Niko salama kabisa. Yes, I've been very, very well working from home.
Very
now, what baffles me in all this is Kenya is a country full of educated people. And I also consider myself an educated person. Anyone who's gone to school is somebody who has gained some knowledge somewhere. You know, there is no way everything can keep protocol alafu tupatiwe document ambayo atiko faulty. This, it is absolutely, actually like a joke. Me, I'm even thinking it's a gimmick to add something else that we are not saying. Because if we have those two arms there in place, who is that person who does counter-checking or publicizing? I listened to the lady lawyer who was saying that we needed to have done something with a seal or something like that. And I'm wondering, it cannot have skipped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At now we are shocked at something is wrong. It looks like it's funny because I expect from where I sit, me and many other people where we sit and talk like normal mwananchi. You cannot be hearing this now and then it's like now to take us back, there will be more money needed to review the document. My opinion would be scrap the document and we forget about everything and continue with the constitution we have in place, which already I heard people are saying we need to amend the constitution. Amend for what? Because we had lawyers and all those people who are not like us, who are laymen. We have people educated, people with responsibility. Do you want to tell me, Kenya, we are not accountable for our actions? People in organization are accountable for our actions. And we see them being aired on air there at TCG. They did not follow procurement rule. Which rule was governing them so that we go to that book and say, did you follow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before publishing? That is the simple thing. Asante.
Thank you very much, Esther. Good day. Josephat in Nandi.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing, people?
We are well, thank you.
Yeah, fine too. I just want to wind up the conversation in a manner that we are sad as civilians down here. Huku grassroots mambo sio mzuri. Okay, wherever this country wants us to take to, we are with them. Tutakufa now too. But the idea of PBI and this thing, I wish this thing would be scrapped off and we forget about that because I don't see any importance of this. Life must continue anyway. Without this constitution or what, I think this kind of just works the way the people like. Because I don't see any kind of good constitution that we must have, and yet even the
basics.
The constitution we have right now cannot even hold.
The basics. On the ground, people are looking for the basics.
Yeah, we need the basics. We don't need for what purpose anyway? Because this kind of a thing is just a wastage of time, wastage of money. We are suffering here. There is nothing.
We hear you. Thank you very much, Josephat.
Okay. Whatever this kind of wants us to, wacha kwenda wote, hata kama nakwenda huku Kongo watu, we are
sawa. Mahali wanataka kutupeleka,
twende.
Tuaseme twende. Lydia in Parklands.
Good morning, SpiceFM.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lydia.
You and Eric.
Good morning.
It was very nice of you to read parts of the Constitution to show that the 2010 Constitution of Kenya is an intelligent document. Now, the bosses of the 2010 Constitution is the people of Kenya. But the BBI, the politicians want to become the bosses. No, we don't need BBI. The 2010 Kenya Constitution is admired by the whole world. Who are these politicians? We don't need politicians to be the owners of the Constitution. Thank you, SpiceFM, for your good reading of the 2010 Constitution.
Thank you very much, Lydia. Have a good day. Becky says, the online dictionary definition of incompetence. Incompetence. Kenya government. By the way, I'm very serious. I do not believe this story.
It's too
Bottom
much,
line, I don't believe this story that there were documents that were taken to the county assemblies and they were different. That the documents that were taken to the National Assembly and those taken to the Senate are different from those that were initially published by the government printer as the Constitution Amendment Bill. I don't believe this story.
You don't believe it because in your mind you've created already the impossibility that such a thing could occur.
in my mind.
Or
Structurally, it's
okay,
impossible.
or it's not possible structurally that this kind of thing could happen.
It's impossible, especially because it's a political process. You see, if it was one of those, civil processes that happen just under the radar, it's a government administration. It has come from there. It has gone to the regional commissioner to county commissioner, deputy county commissioner to chief. That's possible. This is a political document.
So it's also not
it
possible
goes to 34 different counties. Political document. There are those who are opposing it. There are those who are championing it. But even those who are championing it are in different camps. And this happens, and none of them has word of it. Impossible.
And then you look at the details that are presented in the press. You find, instead of section 2, they've written 3. Instead of 188, they've written 9. Come on.
Impossible. Geoffrey in Mombasa.
Yes, how are you guys?
Fine,
We're
thank
fine,
you.
thanks.
Good.
One thing I want to congratulate you guys for bringing up such matters on radio, on air. One thing I will say, if the head of the state does not listen to this, I know the NSIS tells it that Kenyans are saying.
Yep.
It is pathetic to have such a situation happening in the middle of intellects, because Kenya has well-educated people, intellect, they know what they are doing. I don't believe this can happen. I mean, 2 arms of government having different documents altogether, and they are all discovered it at 11th hour. This is a joke.
Big one.
Something is happening somewhere. Somebody said there's another kind of a big corruption thing around, or something being cooked about it, because this is not true.
That's true, Geoffrey. Thank you very much for your call. Unfortunately, your line is not very, very clear towards the end, but yes. So you can pick one final call, 0719-012-600, on this particular matter. I've said, I don't believe it. You?
Look, it is difficult for me to imagine that it would have been orchestrated from the beginning, but it is not an impossibility at the same time in my mind.
That the issues we are hearing emanate from a situation where the document supposedly goes to Parliament, and 2 experts are brought in to look at this document. Experts who've been involved in this process at some stage or the other, and at this stage, they find these mistakes. If it was a different body,
then you would not believe it.
I would simply say, well, possibly. Parliament. Parliament.
I don't think.
And that's where the issue is being found. Parliament.
I refuse to believe the shock.
No.
That's what I'm not believing. You're not believing the entire story. I'm not believing that they're surprised. I think that they're very well aware that such a thing.
You've taken this thing really far.
Let's hear the final caller and then we conclude.
I'm not surprised.
Yes, please go
Joyce
ahead.
in Mombasa.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
We're fine, thanks.
Well, thank you.
With this, I wanted to contribute to the subject.
Yes, go ahead.
In this day and era, and what has been happening in Kenya, I find it not hard to believe anything like that can happen. It could have been the plot from the beginning to sneak in something that they knew Kenyans will not agree with, to serve the interest of a few people. So I think that is not an impossibility. It is very much a possibility. And the fact that it has come out in the open, someone needs to get to the bottom of this, how it happened. Because I think it could have happened, and it could have gone unnoticed if someone hadn't pointed that out.
Wow. Thank you very much, Joyce.
Yes.
Asante sana. Thank you for calling in and have a lovely day. So, as we conclude this one, Joyce is saying, look, this is Kenya.
It's possible.
It is possible for you to sneak in something for, whatever end, so that it comes out now, so that now you can start asking the questions, or maybe it could have come out at a later stage, just before the referendum. Someone goes to court and says, but Your Honor.
Grido Jaka says, the emperor is truly naked. Only difference is that this time around, unlike in the folktale, we have told him, but he still doesn't put on some clothes. He still walks around naked.
Oh, by design. Okay.
My position is clear. It is where the story is emanating from.
Parliament.
Yes.
That's how you see games.
An iffy setup at best. And then they bring up something iffy. So iffy and
they're
iffy,
also surprised.
Yes, and iffy in this instance.
And they also seem to
surprise.
be disagreeing on what their role is in this particular process, and then they bring in
Then
some
you
experts.
have one, I have a
and then some
different
experts. This whole thing, all things pointing to a dark.
Some other source, I would take the entire discussion seriously. But the sources that this thing, and then they're in agreement and even having joint sessions. Really? Okay.
Today's proverb then, City?
Other people's wisdom prevents a leader from being called a fool.
Other people's wisdom
Yes.
prevents a leader from being called a fool.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, so tomorrow, second Friday, we'll be back here. And we will see.
Things can happen between now and then.
Yes. Oh, yes. We may actually now realize that the referendum took place.
Or that actually people went to Congo.
Yes.
People had gone to Congo.
Remember,
The
our
other one was
president is
still
in
here.
DRC. And he has signed some agreements with the president of the DRC.
And DRC is a big country.
We could be heading to Congo
with a lot
soon.
of land.
We could be going to Congo.
Other people are trying to go to Mars, as we may be heading to Congo.
Congo. Hey.